What's up, guys? It's Corrupted.
And it's dragging. We back.
Yeah, sorry about last week, guys. I was sick. I was under the weather. So, we're back today, and we're just going to cover almost the entirety of Chimera in one go. Because
Minus a
that
little bit that we
adds up.
covered in the
Yeah,
last episode.
minus the like the six from 2 weeks ago. I think it was. I think it was 6 episodes.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Make sure y'all
So,
like, comment, subscribe. So y'all be on board. Almost done with the Hunter x Hunter. We on Chimera Ant arc, one of the most
yeah, next
renowned
week we
arcs
got.
in anime. One of the most renowned arcs in anime up to this day. Definitely
And
was very
so,
enjoyable.
so I got to ask the question. As your first time watching Hunter x Hunter, how do you feel about Chimera Ant as an arc?
No, as an arc is great. As an arc is it's pretty much perfect. Only thing I do wish I wish the ending was a little more fireworky, but it worked for for what Meruem became. It worked perfectly.
When you say
The only my
fireworky, what you mean
bang,
like a bigger fight
bang,
or something?
bang, yeah, like a bigger bang. Like 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 there was two. The biggest fight in the arc for me was the Netero fight, and there was too much. There was that bang was so big for me that that was like everything after that just was kind of dull. But I was more on the poetry side of things after that, which is what made up for it. But on a personal thing, I like to end with bangs in my arcs. That's just
Yeah,
me.
he went with the emotional bang instead of like
He
the
went with the
physical
oh yeah,
bang.
oh nah. And it made sense because, what Meruem had become at this point, that was pretty much the only thing. And it was it wasn't like something that just came out of nowhere. We already knew it was gonna go this way. It's just everything after that, like Poof's Shia Poof's shit that he did after that. Yeah, fuck him. I don't like Shia Poof. Like he was giving me Conjuro
Yeah,
vibes, and we all know in this channel we know how we feel about Conjuro. We don't like that motherfucker, and Shia Poof was giving me those vibes like very very heftily. And like everything, bro. That again, we just talking about just the a personal gripe with the bang. Nah, like this part was the smallest part action wise of the whole arc, in my opinion, because we had gotten past most of the danger. Now it was just seeing like, bro, what are you about to do? Like it was just that feeling of anxiety of what is this guy about to do next. But as far as like everything else up to, dude, the rising action was unparalleled in any arc I've ever seen. When you talk about like how like every side had its own quarrels. You had people betraying people left and right. The whole thing with Palm, I thought Palm was going to be on the ant side when Killua fucking, confronted her. But, like that was just one of the things that was like one of those twists, because I like twists too in the arcs, because those twists that keep the story like bouncing around in your head, like Palm's situation. Of course, she was gone for a while. Dude, Nove, he got it the worst. I ain't gonna lie. Nove caught it the worst next to Pito. Nove caught it the worst next to Pito, in my honest opinion. Nove caught it the worst. That man didn't even fight. That man got scared into elderly.
yeah.
Like,
So did
well,
Wolfen.
you Welvin's he at least,
He
yeah,
deserved it
yeah,
though. Nav
yeah.
arguably
He was
didn't.
he was a bigger. See, Welvin was the biggest coward in all of this. Like they tried to make Chicago seems like he was a coward. Chicago was just didn't want to. He wasn't
He
no
just
grave
couldn't.
digger, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He
He
couldn't
wasn't no grave
bring
digger.
himself to kill
So
someone in cold blood like that
yeah,
by
but
himself.
Welvin, no, Welvin a whole coward. His whole inability is cowardice. Like you mean to tell me you got a whole inability, you don't even know what happens after you shoot it,
Well, he
and you
knows
did
what
all this?
happens. He just doesn't know what to do if someone survives it. Cause it's supposed to like instantly kill you. Because we didn't get to
Yeah,
see. So how it works is he asks you a question, and if you resist the question, or because the idea is the question, like the
get you hurt.
idea of it is the question makes you resist, and then you feel pain, and then you resist the pain, and then they just keep growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until they eat your head. Like they eat
or
your
blow
brain.
out of your head.
Yeah, like they destroy your brain. So the fact that he
But
didn't get to ask
yeah,
the question took away like a lot
a
of it.
lot of the
Like it
initial
still had
damage
the not just the initial
had the
damage,
lingering
but it
effect.
like it's basically like if it goes off, it's an insta kill if the person's not like so much stronger than him. Like if he fights like someone equal level to him, it's
They probably
almost
did.
probably an instant win. But we only saw him use it 3 times, and one of them he has to have an actual target, so it didn't work against Meliorron. And against Icalgo shoots him before he can ask the question, and
Yeah, he
then
doesn't even
UP
talk to him.
dies before.
Doesn't even
Yeah,
give him a chance to talk. Yeah, and
and it
Yeah,
turns out
UP
that if
dies
you
before.
turn the question against him, that's how you counter it. But that's also what you learn about Nin in general. Like the more restrictions you put on how it works, the
Or
stronger it is,
yeah, which we
which is
definitely
dope.
learned that with Gone.
Or like
Definitely learned that with Gone. But
with
no, it's crazy. It's crazy
Leo fight.
because yeah, Leo's fight. You're right. Leo's fight. We'll get into
Yeah,
that. But
the
nah, it's
common
crazy
area.
you say that because the whole thing, which I ain't gonna lie, man, one of the hardest points in this whole arc for me, where I had to actually sit there and like hold on for a minute, was fucking two of them, and it was Kilo and Gone, man. I ain't gonna fucking lie, man. I just can't like Gone and Kite's dynamic. I understood the picture, but I didn't understand the picture. Okay, we started this whole thing, with the Chimera Ant arc when we left off last time we pulled this up. It was around the first time, well, the one time when Kite lost his arm and died to Pito. And I remember that scene at the end because they did it quick because the site I watch is on does auto skip outro, and it was literally a flash picture, and then it went away to the next episode. A freaking Kite's head in Pito's lap. And I remember going to the next episode and Kite, I mean not Kite, Gone still having this resolution that Kite was still alive. Like I didn't just see Kite's head in Pito's lap. And I wanted to not believe it because you have that giddiness for the when I get the hope for the main character that I want what you say to be true. I want Kite to still be alive. And they did it to us. Put Kite into that little state where he was this puppet who was getting used, made you think he was still alive. Oh yeah, he can be healed. He can be all of that. And that was a whole lot of the force, the driving force for Gon himself to get stronger and get to another level. That's what Bisky came in, getting, making him go to the next level of training right before him and Palm and stuff had that date, which Palm's glow up needs to be studied. I've never seen a glow up that freaking immaculate before, from freaking undateable to model level to what the hell are you to yeah, I do it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
To
side
at
note, but
the end, hear me out.
yeah, yeah. But nah, even that whole thing, like before that, like, bruh, Gon wanted to get stronger to kill Pito, but with the goal to save Kite and all of that. Like you look at how they went, like all that stuff they went through. When they go down and when they was first fighting, Kilo was first showing you how he uses his lightning and stuff, man, bro. Like Kilo was a god. He was a god, man. That man was doing all kind of shit, and I was all over it. Like from the first moment till he showed you that when he jumped into the air and pointed down on bruh, and they first showed the Chimera Ants he had lightning ability, all the way up to everything that boy was doing after that. The fact he
Dude,
has to charge himself,
no, it's
Kilo.
he doesn't have to charge himself. That's him. Get it? So he's converting the electricity into aura. That way he can recharge his own aura that he used up.
Yeah, essentially recharging himself.
Yeah, but it's not like I
It's
thought you
not
were saying
the
it the other way. Like he had to
no.
charge. And I was
I'm
just like,
pretty
no,
sure
it's
no,
just
not
he
he
just
had
cheating.
to.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
he's
I'm
just
pretty sure he's trying
cheating.
to expedite it, to make it
Yeah,
faster so he wouldn't have
he's
to
just
sit around
stealing
too long.
aura, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah, aura farming. I
Yeah,
was using that term
literally.
a lot watching it. I was using that term so
Yeah,
many times watching this, and I know I was wrong because that's exactly not in the scheme of things what happens the way the anime community talks about aura farming, but in
but Miriam
reality of
does.
what we're watching, well, nah, dude, Miriam's were pretty much aura freaking. That man's an aura colony. Like
Like
all the stuff that
motherfucker,
dude was
like when
doing.
he's like right, anyone's flying with him, he just got his arms crossed and he's holding on with his tail.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Anytime he
no, you're
flies
right.
anywhere,
You're
or
right.
like when he
But
grows
you get
wings and he's just like, this is as natural as they were born
he
on my
just
back.
I'm talking about like he was just getting like more and more OP. Even when they came out and dropped his upgraded version of N. Like this dude now, oh, just because I touched you with my N, I see the status of your emotion, everything, your malice, your drive, your just from touching you with my N. Like Pito could never.
Yeah, that's because
If
he
Pito
got
had that,
boost.
yeah, if Pito had that addition, I know this is me wishful thinking at this point, but if Pito had that junk in the beginning, bro, it wouldn't have been no kind of getting in there, getting out of there. Like it's just so crazy what he became after all of this. But to go back to Gon and his whole situation, like, man, when it came up and Pito told him that, yeah, he dead. I can't bring people back from the dead. I can only restore their body if they alive. And just watching Gon go from like malice stricken to like you gonna do this to almost like pleading because he didn't really know what to do anymore. And the way it was portrayed, like it reminded me a lot of like how his same uncertainty because when he first learned his Nin ability and he was first trying to figure out the Jonkin Rock and how he was up and down and uncertain about what he wanted to do, like, oh, that's not right. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, and just kind of tweaking it as he went along. It's like he had that same kind of mind frame, just at an accelerated rate that he could not control any longer. And it was all linked to his emotion behind wanting to do right by Kite. Because literally, we if you go back to when we first start, like right when Kite lost his arm, he literally said, y'all want to run before Pito ever came there. And I went back and looked at that, like that whole conversation right before that point. If they would have just turned around, walked away at that moment, it probably would have been a different outcome. And I see where gone the guilt is. I see where the guilt is. It's like he was still understands he was being naive. He still understands that he was still a kid, or not. No, he still didn't know a lot. I won't say still a kid because he's still a kid no matter which way you watch the show. But he still didn't know a lot in his nin development. So it's like he understands that and understands that if he just did what he was told, Kite would probably still be here, or there's a chance he would still be here. And that moment, bro, just throwed everything that you had seen all the way up into this arc. Like it made it all feel like that he was just doing it for like just to atone. All it was for was just to atone to make Kite better. That's all he cared about. And up until the moment he couldn't atone anymore, it's like he couldn't handle the guilt anymore. Even to the point where he asked somebody to help him. Keela was whole point, like in his whole like role in all of this. Before the same moment when Kite lost his arm, Keela was in shock because he didn't really know how to handle that. He hadn't really seen an enemy take out an ally of that caliber before. Up until that, his strongest that he had always known had always been somewhat invincible to him. So for Kite they literally say before he loses his arm that you're probably one of the strongest dudes they've ever known and ever met. You just watch the strongest dudes you had ever known just get one shot at damn near, or not even really one shot. It really just
Just
nearly one tapped. If it wasn't for y'all's presence right there, lost his arm. It could have. Go ahead.
what's it called? I don't know. Like, there's a contention in the community. Like, some people think like if Gon and Killua went there and he was at full, he wouldn't have lost his arm and could have stood a chance. But I don't think he stood a
Yeah.
chance either way.
Nah. Nah. It was one of those things where it was like the Pito strength at that point like was so like out there and so like much because you think about it, like just to be able to take his arm that fast with the same people who had been jumping them and pretty much ambushing them that whole time were almost null and void. Like they could have just not been there. Versus you see Pito, of course you remember how she came. She came from all the way, like
Pito's a
that was
bear.
some real distance. Yeah, that was some real distance that he really like cleared. Like Pito
Yeah,
cleared some real distance to hit him. And upon seeing Gon and Killua, which again, I look at that point, what you gonna do? What you gonna do at that point? Because he know that Kite was the strongest one at that point. Then he can also see that Gon and Killua was the weakest ones at that point. But at that, no, what I understand now because at that point they was all looking for the strong nin users anyway, so they wouldn't even wasted their time with going to Killua at that time. That's why them coming back around had made the whole moment better. Is what we about to see in the One Piece anime right now with the Kizaru and Luffy. Same kind of thing with the we're 200 times stronger than we used to be moment coming back around when Pito saw Killua. I mean, not Killua. When Pito saw Gon and he remembered that moment with Kite and say, "Oh, you was like a little fletchling then, like you know who you was then. Now you got all this malice and all this." Yeah,
Yeah, that's where the theory that Gon's a specialist comes from.
I see it. I
Is
see.
because whenever he's angry, you see like like even before has the best rage moment in anime. Like let's be real, that was 131, so dope. But
It's up there. It's definitely up there for age moments.
when he Pito says his fangs might even reach the king.
Yep.
Like, but while he's just a kid and he's just staring at her. And also, you notice Miram and Gon sit the same way when they're concentrating.
Yeah.
Like
The
with
exact
their
same one.
one knee up, the same side, like right arm,
Miriam did
right
it too.
forearm, on yeah, on right knee, and just looking forward. And even like while he's just a kid, where you see like the his nins turning black whenever he's summoning it. Pito's just like he might be able to hurt the king. Then we find out that when he actually loses it and forces himself to grow up, he he might have been able to do something to the king, the first version of the king that we see at least.
And it
But
was,
also
and at that
another
point
thing
too. Go ahead.
with in the Netero fight, at no point does he try to kill Netero, which is another thing to show off how strong he is.
Oh yeah, because
He
he said it before the fight started. He said to force you to submit without killing you. This ought to be fun. This should be a challenge. So
it's
yeah,
like
he wasn't trying to kill him that
playing
whole
with a
time.
rook and a bishop handicap is how he
Yeah.
sees it.
But he wasn't just using little force either though. That was another thing he himself also
Yeah.
mentioned. He was like, because the way it was set up, because that was one thing I did incredibly love about that fight. I love just how it was all set up. Okay, for it to go, because it was at that point, because bruh, that whole part, the first part of the Chimerian arc that we was gonna cover last week, that whole thing I was watching Miram, just looking at him like, bro, you were doing a transformation that is unfathomable to like of course to the ants, but just unfathomable even to the humans. Like, what do you mean? They've spent their whole time treating these ants like they're just the scum because that's what they are. They're abducting humans. They're eating them for their own nutrition. I mean, they're scum. They hate humans. That's the whole idea. Then you look at Merrim, he comes out doing exactly what you would think. Oh, ruthless as fuck, even to his own people. Like killing his own people. Straight up. These people that they just spent these last like 30 or so episodes giving personalities, which I'll get into that. I do one of the things I do like about Hunter x Hunter is how every character seems like it has a life, like unparalleled. Like nobody really feels like true fodder, but I'll get into that later. Um, but just see how Merrim's just getting this not really like for humans, but this approval. Not that his contemporaries have, because Poof, Pito, Yuppie, even the officers down to the squadron leaders all have this discuss almost like superiority complex against humans. And Miram has it, but he has it against everything. But it's crazy how the first thing, because he does the thing, the high being sentient things. First thing you come out, you want to learn and try to learn everything. He's going at the general's route. You know what I'm saying? He's learning strategy. He's learning field presence. He's learning all those kind of idioms. So to the point where he's going through all the human games, checkers, chess, even went to shogi. You know, the shit that Shikamaru and them play in Naruto, and now he gets to gungi, something I've never heard of before.
Isn't that a real game?
Watching this, I didn't think so.
It
But
was it's like the national game of Escorto. It's like something that they came up with in there. It's like best way to think about it, it's like Go mixed with chess.
it makes
And
sense.
there's like a
It
third
makes a lot of
dimension
sense.
to it. Like you can stack
It's got a
pieces.
checkers, yeah,
Yeah,
the
but
checkers
not you
dimension.
can like stack on top of like your opponent's stuff too.
Oh, so it's even deeper. It's even deeper.
Yeah, so it's
But
like way more complicated.
to yeah, he learns all of that though, and he was taking on all the champions and beating them, and then beating them, not only beating them but killing them. And he gets to Goki. Damn, I lost it that quick. He gets to Guki. Is
Kumogi?
that saying it right? I think I go
Who?
say it again.
Kumogi
The game we just said.
or Gungi?
No, not the girl. I know the Gungi. Yeah. But he gets the Coma key and he just can't beat her because the thing about it, well, what I found was weird because Shia was pointing it out that whole time. Like some of the stuff that he was letting her get away with, he would have killed any of them other people for. But it all stems down to he finally found a challenge that he couldn't beat. He finally found something that he couldn't overcome. And he, of course, naturally, he wants to learn to overcome it. And when you get to those points and you start looking at that stuff and you really start thinking and really start breaking all that down, it really was just a hurdle, a big wall for him at first. Like a big, you talk about him, how much the ants progressed in nin, progressed in knowledge, progressed in just growth. They already grew faster than most of the other people around them. Just above strategy and prowess, that he finally found something that he just couldn't grow in. So I think that was his attraction at first. Now where it went after that is still like I need to watch it a second time to really grasp because I know he always respected people's power. And I think it all came down because he told Netero that, yo, I understand now there are some humans that deserve, to be
Well,
spared,
he
deserve to
didn't
live
what's it
because of,
called? He didn't respect anybody's power but his own until he faced Kumogi at Gungi. Like
yeah,
before that, he was just like, nah, like all the humans,
he
I'm just
finally
gonna eat them.
he finally found something that he finally found a human that could best him in something. If that's I think that's the route I'm trying to take with it. But the whole thing because Shia Poof started realizing that she was a threat and started understanding that yo, if I don't take this girl out, she gonna end up changing the king in the worst way that he don't need to be changed. But that didn't work. Like the type of stuff that ended up happening, like King had got by the time Shia Poof realized what was actually going on, the King had already became too attached to her. And I keep saying the King because I'm so used to watching it and saying the King. The Meruem was only getting thrown out after the Netero fight, and I feel bad because I should be saying Netero, but I mean, I should be saying Meruem, but a lot of the stuff that Merriam was doing was starting to lead towards he was going to spare the humans that was out there. You was seeing that before the fight with Netero. But the way I just got to point out the way them dudes came in off that dragon dive, bro. That's probably my favorite attack. Like I've seen favorite moment I can put in anime, bro. You know anything about me? I love dragons, bro. Dragon dive. Them dudes came out the sky, like, bro, on some Luffy shit. Like them boys came out the whole sky, and that man dropped that attack and destroyed damn near the whole palace. All the ants and stuff that was out there that was doing whatever they was doing, but them numbers went from like overwhelming to very manageable if it weren't for how strong the other side was. The way, and then I like how they did it to where it came in at the same time. You were seeing those parallels from what Netero and Zeno was doing to how Shoot, Knuckle, and the crew was going in. Yuppie that whole fight because you see that moment with Yuppie and all them going in there. I've always seen that moment, and now to see how it actually play out was great. I can't even top that moment for real. The intensity behind all of it. You talk about the setup because Netero and Zeno was just those are two you didn't expect those. I know I didn't. I don't know if you did when you watched it the first time.
It's been so long since I watched it for the first time. I don't remember. It's
bro.
been
Like,
what 11 years since the first time I watched it. I can't remember that little bit, but
yeah,
I like the
man.
little like backstory that we get on Netero. Netero's
Yeah,
like 100, what is it? 30 years old? I can't remember.
I was like 70.
No,
Oh, I know he was like
all
60
the stuff
something, and
that
then
he
it was like
did,
60 years ago.
all the stuff that he did, like when he became, like when he fought Zeno's grandfather and everything, that's 60 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So,
remember now.
let's see where. I know he's just see stupid thing. In between 110 and 120. 120 something, not just. So we just know that he was 50 something years old when he fought Zeno's grandfather because he took over that martial arts school when he was 50 years old. And so we don't know, like, and that was 6 decades ago. So there's no tell. He could be closer to 130. It doesn't actually tell us what,
Oldest,
how old he actually is.
oldest frick. He
Yeah,
old as a
he old
mud. That
fuck.
boy dust. That boy walking dust. I see where though in Netero when he went super old man after he used zero hand. At that point he looked exactly like freaking Zeus from Record of Ragnarok. I thought that was hella funny. That's all I saw. And then when he went and did the bruh, and then I love bruh, the way they set up this power system and just the outside stuff of it. The way that a lot of this stuff has been explained post hastily, like it'll be introduced, then come back later. Some of this stuff, like, is crazy. Like the malice, when he told Miriam that you have no idea of the malice inside of a human heart, made me immediately go to Gone and how he had changed Pito's whole freaking personality frame from being a forward, like almost general leader type individual to just, yes, sir, please, sir. Yeah, right away, sir. To just straight humble off just malice, it just made all of that just more intense, like way more intense. Because to know that, because you see, bro, Netero, his whole power is based on being grateful. I wouldn't say whole, but a big part of how he grew it was his gratefulness and prayer. And I ain't think he was capable of that level of rage. Boy, was I wrong. I was very wrong.
And then
Very,
there's the
very
poor
wrong.
man's rose tag to it, which is crazy. And I like how the poor
And
man's
that,
rose is like a like their analogy or is analogous for like the nukes in our world. Like we
yes,
saw that that's what they're supposed to be. The difference is that like only nin users can like use them, and then but they're supposed to be cheap and everything. But they destroyed almost all of them in case they needed them for something insane, just like what they said. Why are
just
there
like what they
still
said.
nukes now? You're just like his. Also, there's the difference that it was used for terrorism. There, it hasn't been used for
Hmm.
terrorism yet here. Well, depending on what you call terrorism. To be fair, there's
But
you could argue
it's
the Cold
just,
War was a bunch of terrorism.
no, I feel you. I feel you. But the way that jump was set up, because Miriam, literally, when they said that he felt when Netero told him about the malice, then shot, pretty much poked him, stopped his own heart. And Miriam told him, "Oh, I understand. It was never about, like, for you, it was never about like living or dying. You had me checkmated from the very beginning.
Yeah, like you
Cause
knew he was
you,
dead no matter what.
yeah, cause you got to break that moment down into just molecular understanding. You talking about a dude who had been boosted up this entire time, even Netero himself, as a guy who's just overly powered, who he himself didn't even think he could beat. And Miriam going from this person who was just driven to just kill, eat humans no matter what, to this person who's now trying to understand, he threw Netero off his foot. Somebody, he literally said, "Oh, I got to make this fast, for my heart gets swayed." How you like? He's going against his own heart, not just Meron, because he knew what Meron was saying was right, and it was one of them moments. Like, bro, I'm over here siding with Meron. Like, he want to create a world where inequality a thing of the past. Ain't this anybody would want that? And for Netero to hear that, to feel that, and say, you know what? I still need to kill this dude, but I need to do it fast before he actually sways me to his side. Then when he started kind of talking down on humans, and Netero started getting mad, bro, like, and the way they set the fight up, because he really had him in a stalemate. All he had to do, that man said a push to him putting his hands together was faster than his whole kit. Bro, you know, bro, my jaw hit the floor when he said that. Just putting his hands together was faster than anything Merrim could do at that moment. And he
Well, you
literally, the way they
remember
were setting it up,
in the
go
flashback,
ahead.
he got to where he could do the 10,000 punch thing that he did from practicing, from spending the what is it, 10 years doing that. He got
Yep,
to where
by the
he could
top
do
off
it in a couple of years, or he got to not a couple of years. He got to where he could do his 10,000 prayers and
in a couple
punches
hours.
in a, I think it's 2 hours is what he got to,
Yeah.
and it was he got to where he was significantly faster than the speed of sound. So his hand move, because he's not just punching, he's doing the entire prayer motion into the
Mm-hmm.
punch and doing that
Mm-hmm.
10,000 times. That would take fucking ever. Cause just throwing like jabs at a speed bag or something, or not speed bag, but like the smaller bag that you're just supposed to throw jabs at. I forgot the name. I can't think of the name of it at the moment. Um, Not a cobra, but like the skinnier, longer one that you're just supposed to like throw jabs at and stuff. You're not supposed to throw power stuff at. It still takes like 5 minutes to throw a couple hundred, even if you're going super fast. So like to throw like 500, it's still so. Imagine like doing that with the motion of the prayer before every punch.
Oh
Like
yeah,
and
it's
doing
it's
that
definitely
shit
like
10,000 times in 2 hours. What the fuck, dog?
no, that's freaking madman level stuff. And even Miram pointed that out. Like where he literally had to have redone the same motion. He literally pointed it out. He had redone the same motion over and over again for at least 5 years. That's what he pointed out. And I think it was around that time for the first. And bruh, the way he was putting all of this stuff together, like Togashi was putting all this stuff together, really like none of this stuff was by accident. Greed Island was not by accident to be before Chimera Ant art. Not by a long shot. Because I remember in the last episode I mentioned it, how everything went from being a game and feeling fun to how we come here and if they say, "Oh, let's play a game," I actually shiver a little bit. Like, what do you mean let's play a game? Like I don't want to know. You want to eat me? I don't want to play no game. No Diddy. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to do that. And Merriam does it. They even do it. Shawpoof, Yuppie, the way that they ended the not ended the way they wrapped up the Coma Key thing, towards that point, like Shawpoof decided, oh, I'm just gonna play a game with you to try to entertain you to give me some time to kill this girl. Like, bruh, all the games had sinister motives after Greed Island. Like freaking Kite's playing the game with his you mentioned it earlier how when you give a sacrifice or when you sacrifice it makes the then power stronger. Me, it made me think of Kite. His whole sacrifice, not even knowing what weapon he's about to use. That was a sacrifice.
So
Because I'm pretty sure if he could have picked any weapon he wanted in any one of them moments, but it would have been different. Not bad what you finna say.
so there's a theory that the rod that he had is the best weapon in that scenario.
Two.
No, the baton is number three.
Oh,
That
three.
when he
Three, yeah.
fights Pito,
Yeah,
the
number three.
theory. So we don't know exactly what it does, but the implication is that it's some form of tool to let him reincarnate somehow, some way, and that's the sacrifice he has to make for it being so random.
Okay.
That's the theory. That's the theory.
I can
Tagashi
see that.
doesn't confirm any of that shit, but
Of course not.
that's the theory. But I don't blame you for not confirming it. That's like one of those things like let people wonder forever. But yeah, that the theory is that the baton's power is that it lets him not die somehow. And the theory is that it lets him reincarnate or that it separates his spirit from his body. Like people aren't sure on the details like what are these details and why are we fucking them sort of thing, but like that's the community's theory. And that's why he doesn't say uh-oh bad roll or he doesn't say bad roll when he gets it.
On the baton, yeah,
Yeah, but he
I've been
says
thinking
it
about
with
that too.
everything else. It's because the baton is the best roll when he's in danger. Is the community theory, but we don't know yet because Tagashi hasn't even said yes or no about it yet in the manga. Like it hasn't gotten to the point where that comes up because the manga is not that far past the last arc in the anime.
I feel you.
Because I think the manga's on like chapter 400 and something.
I'm 100% reading the manga after this anime. Oh, that's already set in stone.
Yeah, a
I'm
lot of
doing that.
stuff's different in the manga. Like a big one that's different in the manga is that you know how in the you asked if Mirum is Gyro.
Yeah,
So the anime keeps it super ambiguous. The manga tells you who if Mirum is Gyro. I'm not gonna tell you if it's a yes or no. I'm gonna just let you read it out the manga. But for some
I mean,
reason
at
they
this
don't
point in
answer the
time,
question.
even we can. I mean, because even this point in time, if you would have, if Welfin's conversation with Mary never happened, if we would have stopped, because I remember messaging you, tell you we could have stopped at 131. It was that heavy of an episode, but I see why we didn't. I mean, we were pretty much at the end of it. We shouldn't have, so we did the right thing. But like, if with Welfin's conversation with Merrim when he told him about how he wanted to meet Gyro and stuff, and told him how literally screamed at him that all the ants are enemies and said they were Gyro's enemy. And I think about Merrim's response to that and say he hopes you go and meet him and goes find him. And like, bruh, like like you said, anime is gonna keep it super ambiguous, but it was a couple of things at that moment that could have happened that would have made me like completely reject it if I want if at that moment it could have been like almost a no response kind of thing. Like could have rejected the idea of Gyro, like, oh, I don't care about him. Like, oh, he was my enemy. Okay. Like at that point, he had already made his mind up. He wanted to spend the last of his days with Komaki. So like him saying that you just want to go meet him to hope you find him one day, instead of like rejecting him, it almost like added to it. But should I have to? On a side note, do you think I should have? Would I have to go back and like reread Chimera Ant to like get a different, or is it something they say after Chimera Ant about Merrim's involvement with Gyro?
It it's pretty implicit in the manga. I just don't want to tell you that way when you see it you can be like, "Oh shit, there's the answer to
All
that
right,
question."
not
But
for you.
like it does like I say it's pretty implicit because it doesn't say yes or no. It shows you yes or no without any speech bubbles or anything.
One of
So,
those differences. I
yeah. So
understand.
it's like one of those things like if you weren't paying attention to what it's been saying, you won't know what the answer is because it just shows you the actual thing instead of
I
having
see.
like speech bubbles with stuff, which I
I
think is
see.
better. Personally,
Of
I think is
course.
better. But it's like
Of
that.
course. The Inuit, the what is it? The passive like enlightenment of like ideas and stuff where they don't directly tell you stuff. Like I ain't gonna lie. What I mean, because I mean even because I was gonna use Berthold and Reiner telling Aaron that they were the colossal and the what you call it Titans, how kind of nonchalant it was, but it's not the same thing. It's not the it's it literally it's almost, but not the same thing I'm trying to say. It's almost like just what's something. Cause when you just like pass it, you don't have to say anything. You just do a picture or do like a thing, and it's so intense that you just know.
I
And I'm
wouldn't
trying to
say
give
it's
a
like that. It's more so like when you're reading that particular chapter of the manga, it shows you a picture that's the implicit answer. Like it's an
versus having to
explicit
say
answer
it
of what it is, but the speech bubbles in the panel around it, like the panels around it, imply what the picture means. Like it gives you a like I'm trying to without trying to spoil what the answer is, trying to come up with a way to say it that won't definitively say yes or no. It's like a good example would be like in the One Piece manga when Luffy says something stupid and then two panels later it shows you where it doesn't show Nami hitting him, but it shows the bumps on his head so you know Nami hit him.
yeah,
It's sort of like that. Like how
I'm
it's
understanding.
pictured. Like you don't see the thing that says yes or no. You're just
You can draw
like
the
the picture
conclusion.
tells you which one it is. The picture definitively tells you if it's yes or no. It's the panels that say which one do you think it is, my guy? Like the
Ah,
speech bubbles around that panel are just like I
so what do
don't
you think
know.
moment?
Yeah, but the uh the picture is pretty like and so it's just like Tagashi's just like I'm not telling you. Like I'll show you, but I'm not telling you. So I guess it's like it's hard to explain without giving it away. That's why I don't want to say anymore. But one thing that I like that changes completely, like the whole reason we've been talking about the show, is like it's the Gon losing his innocence and Killua gaining it, and over the court we see even with these murderous fucking ants, Gon keeps trying to give him an out, like every time, like the snake
Yeah,
guy
that's every
or
time. It was one of it
Melioran
was
or
giving me the same Tanjiro vibes, man.
yeah, like
It was
each
giving
time
me the
except
same
for
kind of
Pito,
Tanjiro vibes.
except and
Nah, Pito caught
Poof
it worse.
and Poof, like he was just like I'll kill both of y'all right now. I do not give a fuck. like like if you're gonna be like that, like he's so like he ties a snake dude to a tree and just like you're a snake, you're made out of a snake. That means that you can eat like you can starve for 10 days. So I don't have to feel bad about leaving you here. Or like the bat, he doesn't kill the bat lady and he doesn't kill the owl dude, the owl gorilla dude. Like he doesn't kill either
Mm.
of them. He just fucks them up. And he's just like, there, they won't be able to do anything for a while because I know a lot about this animal. So I know how to deal with it. And then gets to Melioran, and then he's just fine with talking to Melioran since Melioran doesn't like clearly doesn't want to hurt him or anything. But as soon as he sees Pito, he doesn't even care about Kumongi being safe. Even though at other points of
Mm-mm.
the story he'd be like the innocent person, the lady with the hole in her stomach clearly needs to be taken care of before I hash out this beef. But
Literally
no,
at
he
every
was
other
just like, nope.
interval in the story, at every other interval in the story, that's exactly what would have happened. He literally would have like tried his best to like get her some help before he ever would have tried to do anything to an enemy. But at
Yeah,
that
except for
point,
when
bro,
he
he
sees
even went
Pito.
so far. Yeah, except when he sees Pito, and even went so far as to take Homaki as a hostage. Even so far as
Yeah,
to dip his hands into the other side just to get everything right. And I'm like, bro, you really, you done lost it. It was at that point when everything about the lens we watching through came true.
and
Even when
then
in
like
Killua, because
right before that with Killua when he meets like when he wakes up after his fight with the twins
yeah,
that where for Icalgo with the darts
yeah,
when he wakes up
the
after
darts,
that
man,
and Icalgo talks about him exactly how he talks about Gon like
exactly how he talks about going.
15
Yep.
episodes earlier where Gon like it even has the same like gradient shot and everything where Gon and Killua when they get told by Netero that if they can beat Knuckle and Shoot that they'll be allowed back in. And Killua's just like, oh my god, what the fuck are we gonna do? And Golem's just like, it's cool, Kite's still alive. And Killua's just like, where's it at? He just says, gone you are light. And then, sometimes you shine so brightly I must look away. But even so, is it okay if I stay at your side? And then 15 episodes later, we get the thing with Icalgo, where Icalgo's just like, this is the light I've needed in my life the entire time. Like, even when he was alive, like he talked about, he just wanted a friend to be the light in his dark
Hmm.
world. And you
Even
see,
went so
like,
far as asking, "Are you sure I can come?" Like questioning if
yeah,
he can come.
yeah, like that. He has almost the same exact sentiment as Gon does about, or as Killua does about Gon, Icalgo has about uh Killua. And it's also like the whole. It also parallels really well with the very start of the show during the Hunter exam when Illumi's just like, so what are you even gonna do after this? Kid was just like, I want to become Gon's friend, and Leorio's just like, you fucking idiot, you're already friends, clearly. And then you see Killua when he's talking to Calgo, he's just like, you coming? And he's just like, why would I be coming? He's just like, oh, I thought I was the only one that knew that we were friends. Like, it parallels
Yeah,
that moment like perfectly.
shows his growth and stuff too. Like how he's moved
Yeah,
forward to
like he,
understand what a friend is.
yeah, or like the fact like uh, when Zeno realized that he didn't have Alumi's needle in him anymore, and
Hmm.
he was just like how mature he is, he doesn't have to tell him what happened in the room like he would have before, like before he had the needle. When he
Hmm.
had still had the needle in his head, he's just like, you make of what happened in there what you will. And then Keely will realize like his dad, or not his dad, his granddad's uh, attack ended up hurting someone, and so he's the one that's worried about the person that got hurt by his granddad, and Gon's not. Like,
Yeah,
but he
that's
also
true
like
too.
doesn't blame his granddad for Komugi getting hurt, because if it's anybody's fault, it's the aunt's fault, because she shouldn't have been in there in the first place. Like if you want to, but he's also just like, oh no, this woman's hurt, and Gon's just like, I'm gonna kill Pito. I also like the whole thing is
Yep.
Gon normally would have been like, we'll take a prisoner, all this other stuff. But with Pito, he's just like, you're gonna save Gon, or Gon's like, you're gonna save Kite. I'm gonna fucking kill you, and everything
Yeah, he
else that you
really.
care about. Like that's just
Yeah, he
that.
pushed that. He really pushed that, and it was one of those things you look at because it was like you said. He looked at Pito with the incredible conviction that he was gonna kill her. And Alumi, duh, I felt because I always knew a little bit of the spoilers about what grown up gonna look like, but to confirm it now I can talk about it. Illumi's first, because Illumi was the first time that we saw somebody come in and use, correct me if I'm wrong, but use a version of Nin that we didn't know about, right? Was it Illumi? The one showed us pretty much the Hatsu that he was using.
um,
Because it was in that moment. I always remember this moment when he used it on Killua, and it was when he first transformed out from that ugly thing he was cosplaying as to his natural form, and his hair shot up and stood there idly for about 3 seconds, and it came back down. And it always reminded me of like the spoilers at the time were spoilers, but I know now. It always reminded me of growing up, going and what his hair looked like. Always. And I
yeah, I
always said
think
when we got to this point and I would see it, that that would be one of the crowning moments that for me, because it's like, if it's true, and that is one of the first times we saw Nin to come into now and it be echoed in Gones, and you said earlier when it being the highest uses of Nin in the show, like that is next level like writing to me.
what like
Like,
the first time we see Nin is probably when on the island on the fourth part, and it is Illumi when he takes the things out of his face to bury himself in the hole.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
And his hair
probably the
shoots
first,
straight up.
or that's
His hair shoots
like
straight
there
up
might be
when he
somebody else
takes
that
the pins
uses
out
it
of his face.
earlier, but I think that's the earliest. Think that's the earliest thing I can remember off the top of my head. Cause like there, like I guess no, because that's an episode later. Like technically, Hisoka used in to find the fenter guy. So like technically, like that's well, not actually. If we want to be technical, the first ever use of Nin is Gon teaching himself Zetsu
Yeah.
without
I
realizing what
season
Zetsu
some
is.
sets.
But
Yeah, I
that's
was
the
just
same
thought about that
episode
too.
that Illumi's face does that. So it's like it's
A
like one
packed
of those.
episode. It's a
Yeah,
packed episode, which is
and you don't
actually
even
even it,
realize
it
how much it
furthers it even
means.
more. It furthers my belief in this episode and even these moments even more because like I always remembered that moment. Like Looney's hair standing straight up. I'm like, yep, that looked just like Gone when he get grown and do the exact same thing. And that was one of the first moments the story itself points to Nin being used. And you look at it, and now when Gone uses his Nin at his height, and it's like, bro, I point to that, and I'm like, bro, that's great. That's great, right? That's great freaking foreshadowing. Like, Gone ain't playing with nobody, and you see that he was on that same type of murderous time that Illumi was on at that time, maybe even greater. Like, because Lumi was on that murderous tone, because he took his. I still remember that ugly fucker. I remember watching that dude the whole freaking Hunter exam, and then it turns out he was actually a character that was worth like something. That was one of those
Yeah, where
moments
he's
for me. But
Gura something, pretending like his name was like Gura Pure or some shit like that, and he walked around and his head vibrated super
yeah,
creepily.
super
Also,
creepily.
another thing that's like kind of jumping around here just because there's so much stuff that's interesting to talk about. Another thing that I really like with the ants and like the parallels is each ant. Well, we don't really see what Yuppie does, but the other two royal guards, they do something to express emotion since they don't know how to say it. Like
Hmm.
Pito when he gets upset when he almost kills Komogi,
Hmm.
he has to play the violin
Hmm.
to to show his emotion, and Pito just has to like bury himself in the work that he's doing with like his in and stuff because he's like the I don't want to say he's like the fighter of the group, but he's definitely the most itching to fight of the group. Like right
He's the
after
most.
he
And
kills
then
Kite, he's
I
just
would
like
say,
I need to fight him again. I need to
I would
fight somebody else
say
that's strong.
before Yuppie gets embodied in his rage, I would say Yuppie would be the. I mean, Pito would be the most Nin well rounded.
Well, or he's definitely the most Nin well-rounded, cause he's the one that gets the actual like explanation of what Nin is. The other two don't get it explained. Like
Yeah,
remember,
because
like the
he got it from was Pons
Pockles,
Puck Puck Puckle, yeah.
Pockle,
He got it
yeah,
from
digging
Puckle.
around Pockle's brain with those
Yeah, that
antennas.
shit was weird. That shit was still
Yeah,
weird.
but it was like using Nin to activate the different parts of the brain, like the hippocampus and stuff, to get the memories, which was
No, he definitely learned it from
creepy.
Puckle. I remember now.
Yeah, and also Pito's Nin is or not Nin, but In is better, like much better. Because remember, Shy's only could cover like 2 floors, but Pito's could surround the entire castles. And Yuppie just
Entire
didn't
palace.
care to master the ability to do that. Just because Yuppie was just like, I can transform into whatever the fuck I need, bitch. I don't need that shit.
Yeah,
Like, that's just whatever.
yeah.
Until he got in a fight with Shooting Knuckle. And then he realized, like, this ore crap's kind of important.
I think it was more so Melioron. Well, no. Knuckle and Shoot would be because Shoot did the number on him first.
Well,
Shoot was
also,
out
like,
there.
Shoot did, like, no damage to him. also which is
Yeah, but
crazy.
he had the what I mean the number on him. I mean like mentally,
Yeah.
because he was showing them all his resolve and stuff like that of humans, and he was starting to get that same kind of Miram like understanding for humans just off the shoot fight. But it quickly got buried because he started getting into that rage, and then when he learned that, oh snap, I can actually like, yeah, like you say, this aura stuff is actually pretty intense, and I should actually try to learn it more. And it was in him trying to learn and suppress his rage that a lot of that stuff that was blocking his want to further himself mentally was, removed. And then he started. That's we started getting the empathy and stuff where he was okay to make decisions. And when he spared whatever smoke guy's name is, I keep forgetting it. Starts with a G, don't it?
Which
Like
one?
Gorin or some the smoke master, one with the
Moral.
big pipe. Moral,
M O
yeah,
R
it was.
E L. Moral.
I'm tripping because it was. I knew it was a word. It was like an actual word in the English language, moral, but spelled different. Yeah,
Yeah,
moral.
the
Yeah, I
yeah,
was
he
messing with him.
spared
He was
him with
fun.
Knuckles thing. But it also makes it
APR.
interesting is if APR didn't like if he didn't get rid of APR because APR was 3 minutes away from shutting off his ability to use Nin. It makes you
Yeah,
wonder
three
they
minutes.
wouldn't have been able him and Shy wouldn't have been able to get there fast enough to find the king before the poison took good root. So like if Knuckle would have sacrificed, uh, what's it called? Would
Moral.
have been willing to sacrifice Knuckle, or if Knuckle would have been willing to sacrifice his master, then
Meruem
a
dies.
lot of stuff. Well, like he dies no matter what, but you don't get the last little bit of character development out of everybody. But it's also like a character development thing for Knuckle, because Knuckle's just like I can't let my master die no matter how much I want to. Like like, no matter how much it is my job to let that happen, I can't do that. Like that's my master. I can't let my master die. Sort of deal that he has there, which is another interesting point, because as the it comes off as a the entire time he tries to be a tough dude, but you learn rather quickly that all three of them are just big softies. Like you even see
Moral,
it when the
knuckle and
queen
shit.
dies. Like when the queen dies, he pretends that he's cool and not crying or anything, but Moral's nose starts running to show you that Moral's
Hmm.
crying. It
Yeah.
reminds me of
He, he,
the I'm not crying, it's just raining moment from Full Metal Alchemist.
hmm
Like
hmm
with Mayhew's
hmm
funeral, not funeral, but when they visit
hmm
his gravestone. That's what it reminds me of. And then the other thing where Colt's just like, yeah, I can promise that we'll never eat another human. And he's just like, okay, cool, you and the baby can go. And then
Yep.
Colt just gives them all the backstory that they need on the other people. Like,
Yeah, pretty much told him everything. That was the thing too, because I didn't expect Colt to defect. I knew it was gonna happen. Like I knew somebody was gonna leave, but when he was leaving out of that cast out of the hive, and they think Pito saw him, I didn't expect he was gonna defect. That junk was that was one of those plot twists that I didn't expect because Colt seemed like he was the most loyal. That's the way he was written in the beginning, like he was the most loyal out of everybody.
well, he was the most loyal to the queen,
Oh.
not to the king. So those ants aren't like they're loyal to the queen. Like remember when we got the little biology
Yeah,
lesson on chimera
yeah, I
ants?
remember. Yeah,
Yeah, they're loyal to the queen, and then the king goes out and makes more like mates with something else, like a new species to make another queen, and then all the soldier ants are dedicated to that queen, and that's how like the cycle works. Is that like they go for the queen, and then the new queen has soldiers, and soldiers, or just for that queen, like undying loyalty. And then there's the implication is that the little baby, because we see that only like 10 days later the baby's already the size of a toddler when Colt's on the phone.
Hmm.
The implication is that it's a new queen with how Colt's like so, because Colt wasn't really that big with the what's it called, with the king, like following the king, but for this one, like this one particular ant, it was like nope, can't do that with it, can't let this one go by itself. The implication is that it's the new queen, which is
Yeah, the little
kind of
small
cool.
one that was in the palm of his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember now.
Well, in the after or right before this election, you see it's like the size of a toddler, like it grew fast as fuck, dog. But that might come back up later during the election, because that's what the next what's it called is called, the next
The
arc.
next arc,
Yeah, the
the
because remember
Neteros
Netero's will
breakup.
and testament,
Yeah.
it's him explaining why or how he wants his selector to be picked, because he doesn't want guy, the vice chairman, to become the actual chairman because the vice chairman's a dick. Vice chairman's a terrible piece of shit. That bastard. Cause like you saw, like there's also like a little bit of political intrigue in this arc too, because he has to find
Hmm.
the chairman has to find a way to make sure as little casualties as possible happen to people. That way it doesn't mess up the whole system with his with the association as a whole. So
So you
like
got to think
the
about more
I'm
than
trying to
just
think of the
individual.
word. Yeah, because he figured out the vice chairman's entire plan almost immediately, where he's just like, oh, the vice chairman's trying to just put everything on us. That way it's we die. Or even if we die, it's our fault, the Hunter Association's fault, and it lets the vice chairman take over if he needs to. It's like that. Which is, he shows like, oh, sorry for the yawn, like how big brain the chairman is, because he thought about everything. Like, he goes to get Zeno, so that Zeno's entire job is just transportation because he's fought Zeno before, and so he knows how his nin ability works, so he can use him to split the king up. And then he goes to get the poor man's rose installed in his heart, just in case he couldn't beat the king. Like, dude's out here playing, well,
40
I can't
chess.
really say chess, cause like I guess he was playing gungi while the king was playing chess, just cause they both say checkmate. But like that just shows how far ahead everything was planned out to take down the the, the Ant King, which is absolutely crazy, absolutely crazy how much they did in general. Well, not just in general, but everybody did. Cause you see, the entire fight took like 30 minutes, I think. The entire from like
Yeah.
episode like 121 to
Yep.
130 takes like I think 30 minutes. Cause when Icalgo comes out, he's just like, they did all this in 30 minutes. Cause the
Hmm.
entire stair sequence takes 3 minutes. Or no, 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 it doesn't even take 3 minutes. It takes like it takes less than a minute, I think, the stair sequence. Because what's it called? APR doesn't go up, but a couple of times. I
Yeah, because I
believe the
remember
stair sequence
Knuckle
only
saying,
takes 30
yeah, 'cause
seconds.
I remember Knuckle like explicitly pointing out that when he said only 10 seconds had passed, he said it felt like only a minute left because APR wasn't going up fast enough.
Yeah, because of time compression. And I like how he explains the concept of time compression because and how they explain it is that it shows Netero like being so far outclassing Pito because Pito gets time compression when he and then he hits Pito across the map, like cross maps him, just like go over there. Or when they meet the king, Zeno gets time compression, and when he talks to Silva, and Zeno's just like my time got compressed. That's pretty dope. Never happened before. And Silva's just like, Dad, I don't give a fuck. Also, that how he kills Cheeto is pretty lit. He just jumps off the
Bruh, I
dragon
was,
and
I was, I was looking forward to seeing Zeno fight. I was so
nah, bro,
looking forward to that.
we not getting that fight. I'm sorry. Just 'cause
Why you
like
had to let me down like that?
on like let's be real, it's an old man. The we got a bit of how he fights from York New City.
You right. You know
Like
what? You know
you got
what?
a little bit of it.
Got a
You
little
got
bit
a
of it.
taste of it.
You right. You right.
But
Can't be mad at that.
yeah, I want to see how Maluki fights. Like, does he just do stupid shit? 'Cause he doesn't know what Nin is. Well, he might now. In the past, what was it, 6 months since the end of York New? I think it's been 6 months. Yeah, that time frame, because their little sister learned it in a similar time frame. And then also like the other stuff that happens in the like the little things that we get between the different what's it called, the like squad leader, like when we see when Lilo is hunting air quotes, gotta say hunting, uh is hunting Kite and Gon and Killua, and he has the
Yeah.
moment where he's just like, nope, I'm not, I'm not, nope, not touching that with a 10-foot pole, because he realizes like how much Kite can just go done, like snap his fingers and kill him, and he gives this
Yeah.
really cool speech to himself. He says, I always believed that the world revolved around my claws and fangs, that if I brandished them, I could take the life of any other creature, could always satisfy my own hunger, and that I was truly blessed. However, that wasn't the case. Others were stronger, so I never had ruled. Death taught me that lesson, and I'm stronger now. At the moment, we may not be strong enough to defeat them, but now we are armed with the ability to learn. And that was like the big thing when they started realizing like we gotta learn Nin, otherwise we're sitting
hmm
ducks. Like that's the thing that forced all
No,
the
that was a
Chimerians
great
to.
that was a great moment to exemplify how important knowledge is in a war. One of the moments where I really started to like the art like a lot. Where he talked about the importance of how knowledge is in a war, and just after that, like you said, it just started learning then and stuff after that. And it was at that point when they started learning then how different of a battle this became. Like the
Yeah,
gravity of the battle shifted like so drastically. When especially when what the rabbit dude came
Ramon.
out of nowhere, and Ramon, when he came out of nowhere, and you saw that dude had the Nin aura, bro. That was a real deal, like jaw dropping moment.
Dude, I fuck it. Like I told you before we started, his fight with Killua was one of my favorite moments in anime. Where like he's beating the shit out of Killua not because he's stronger than Killua, but because Killua can't attack him, and Killua realizes like what's wrong, and so he stabs himself with his fingers in his forehead and pulls out Illumi's needle. It turns out this entire time Illumi's been manipulating him with aura, which is why certain auras scare him. Like
hmm
like what's his I
Hisoka's
can't
aura, freaking
crap I
what's his
can't think
face's
of the
aura,
I can't
the
think of the
dude
little
who was
kid.
just like a Luma.
Its name now. I can't. Wing student. Crap. Can't think of his name.
Oh, real hot
Oh, the little dude.
Yuji.
Who? What'd you say his name
Isn't it
was?
Juji? Yuji or Juji? Juji or some shit like that?
Maybe Zushi.
Zushi. Yeah,
Yeah,
Zushi.
Zushi.
Zushi. That's what it is.
But also it's remember what's funny though is that it Zushi reminded Killua of his brother, and you finally learn why with that moment is because
Yeah.
Illumi's a manipulator and so is Zushi. Can remember they
I missed that. I missed that.
when
I
they did
missed
the
that.
water divination, Zushi was a manipulator.
I missed the Illumi being a manipulator niche, but it makes sense now.
Yeah, which is
It
pretty
makes
cool.
sense. It makes perfect sense now. Jesus. Okay then.
Yeah, bro. Fucking genius.
No, I was loving that. But you talked about parallels earlier. One parallel that stuck out to me was how amongst in the beginning of Kite in his entire run with Gon and Killua, one of the crowning gems of probably the difference, or would you say the stab, or how a lot of people in sports, the dagger was Kite losing his arm to Pito. And in the same parallel, when Gon had just done pretty much eclipsed his peak in his grown up form, had done Pito in before, right before Killua showed up, and he is his arm taken away. Same one. I thought
Which
that was like
wait, which one?
when, like I'm saying, Kite loses his arm, which was the
Yeah.
crowning achievement and was one of the crowning moments in making Gon and Killua get stronger. But I'm mainly talking about Gon, and in Gon's height, in his height of his nin, he loses the exact same arm
Yeah, he
to
loses the right
Pito.
arm. At first, I thought you said mirror woman. I was just like, mirror woman rips off his left arm. That's why I was so
No,
confused. That's my bad.
no, I ain't on that
I
part.
s- nah,
I ain't on
yeah,
that part.
yeah.
We definitely talk about that, man. Like, but nah, Gon losing the same arm that Kite lost was almost like a cool poetic moment and showing like how much Kite meant to Gon, like plot wise. It was a way to point it out, but also to have the same kind of thing go
But
down.
also,
Like,
they lost their arm for the same reason too. They
yeah,
both let their guard down when they shouldn't have.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. Both
Cause
let their
the
guards down when they shouldn't.
cause
Because
the
Gon says right before that moment, he said, "I finished it just like you taught me." Kite. Obviously, you didn't because that same body got up and took the same arm.
yeah, and the reason
It was
that
almost like
attack's
it
so
just didn't
strong
win.
is cause the nin that you create
Yeah, type of
with like
score.
your dying breath is
Yep,
stronger than normal.
yep.
That's also like
Willpower shit.
yeah. Well, it's
Didn't
not
we
just
learn that with
willpower. It
Evo
also
game?
huh?
Or we learned that with the Phantom Troop. Was it Uvagine or was it Paola?
That was that's different. This it's the first I think I can't remember who's the first person to talk about it, but the certain inabilities they don't or they persist after death or like
Yeah, yeah,
being that's why they can't just kill Kurapika at the time like they couldn't just kill the chain user because it would just probably make the nin stronger. That's why you don't want to kill
yeah.
someone
I
like
remember
that,
talking about
like with
that.
that stuff. And it also adds like the extra aspect, like if you kill somebody that you're fighting, there's a chance that you still might get fucked up because of it, just because like the backlash of their nin could get you. Which is another interesting idea that is presented. Also, can we
But
talk about how stupid God's accomplice is for a second?
yeah, I didn't really
Not
enjoy
stupid as
that
in a
ability.
bad way. I mean like how stupidly broken it is.
It is, but it's like it's broken, but it does enough to do what I think it needed. And because I like the explanation of it, how basically this man takes his entire existence away.
Yeah, is basically everything but memories of him cease to exist. To or the people's ability to perceive his existence disappears.
Yeah,
Like
like
when
his
he uses like makes Killua invisible and he hits him with Thunderbolt. Like the Thunderbolt, no one knew the Thunderbolt existed until the moment it impacted UP. Like that shit's crazy. That shit's fire.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's
Nah, the way it works,
so OP.
basically turn Knuckle into a pretty much a unknown bomb.
Well,
Basically,
just imagine if you could friggin' do that with like if Gon would have done that to Yuppie instead of what's it called? Instead of how it was,
yeah.
he
Basically,
would
dude,
have
Gon could have
pow.
John can rock like for free,
Yeah,
almost. He
it
wouldn't
would
have to
have
worry
like
about
fought
somebody
Yuppie. Like the
like
Yuppie
looking
fight
at
would have
him.
been
Yeah,
over.
yeah,
Like, bruh, like so
yeah.
fast.
That's a good way to think about it too. Or even if Moral, if he was on Moral and Moral dropped all his purple haze clones, would you still be able to receive all those clones there? I could
Probably
keep
because
going.
he's not
I could
touching
keep
them.
going. Oh, like they're independent of they're detached from him. Okay. Well, shit. What about shit, Netero?
I would imagine that
Netero is
you would
God's
still be
accomplice.
able to see the Bodhisattva, or however you say it. I think I messed up saying it. Just because it's conjured.
But you wouldn't be able to perceive when he's doing it.
I don't really think it matters if you can perceive when he's doing it, though. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I don't care how fast he
Yeah.
does it. Like,
Yeah.
it's happening no matter
Yeah.
what. Like,
Yeah. You're right.
like, where
You're
did the
right.
gold
You're right.
statue
You're right.
come from? What the fuck? Wait,
How?
it need to be something like Jajakin or something like that.
Yeah,
Something that's just
Jaja
like
can, yeah.
insanely strong. Well,
Even in
the big
Kilo's
question
case,
since
because him using it for,
yeah, using it for that, the it'd be probably pretty strong with shoot also,
yeah, because she can
cause
maneuver how he wants.
but it's not just that it's
One thing you probably see is the
cause
hands.
shoot's hand
No, because
because one of
His
them
nings covers the hands.
yeah well the other big thing is one of them is his actual hand. It's not
Yeah,
conjured. Like none of that is conjured. So the question is, would it would his the one that's his actual hand turn invisible also? But also there's the other aspect of it of he only has to do so much damage. So if the person can't tell that he's being damaged, they shoot fast enough with the other hand and just start smacking them all over the place until he takes so much of the person that they can't move anymore. In Hotel Rafflesia, that could also be
yeah,
something that worked, which is another
yeah,
interesting idea.
yeah. I can see that.
It's kind of
I can see that.
crazy.
I can definitely
Also,
see all that.
the they made Cool Monkey slightly smarter in the anime than she is in the manga, but not at Gungi is another thing to talk about because she's basically like she's supposed to be borderline mentally retarded. She has savant syndrome or whatever it's called. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I've never heard of that.
So savant syndrome is it's a rare condition where individuals demonstrate extraordinary skills in specific areas, often despite having significant intellectual or developmental disabilities. Uh, it's sometimes called islands of genius, and it's like people can like randomly be like masters of music, art, math, memory, stuff
Yeah,
like that.
I know that's what it was called.
Yeah, that's or it happens a lot with like brain injuries. Like someone will get like a horrible brain injury, but then it makes them a savant. But yeah, the IQ for Savant, someone with Savant, tends to be just short of 100, like in between 40 and 99 on average. And then sometimes it's 52 to 114, just depending on how good their verbal skills are. Uh, but it's just interesting. That's what she's supposed to have. Like she has savant syndrome, plus she's blind. So that's like, so it kind of, so she's like one of the dregs of society. She just so happens to have savant syndrome. So she's super good at a super obscure game. Because the game's only like, like, like chess has been around for close to a millennia.
Yeah,
Like it came out of India in like, what, the, like, 13, I think the 1400s? Something around that time. So chess has been around forever, checker's been around forever. But in their world, Gungi's only like they're on their she's the third national champion to come out of there. And they've always had the national champion. So it's only like 100-year-old game maybe. Like at the point that Komongi, it's not even a 100-year-old game, but Komongi is the best in the world at it. Which is also interesting because she's not just the best at the world at it, because by the end of it, they are she is better at Gungi than she was at the start, because as the
yeah, they
king
were.
evolves,
Yeah,
she
they're both
evolves
evolving
just
together.
as fast. Yeah. And not even like evolves as the king evolves in the game of Gungi, but as he evolves like as a ruler and as a, for lack of a better term, as a person. She evolves at the game of Gungi. Like we see the king is impressed because she awakens Nin while playing, and that's where she comes up with the she figured out the way to perfect what she called her baby, the Kurokuri, or whatever it's called, the move's called, that she created. That is the first time that the king got real interested in her, because he thought he had completely disrupted her rhythm, but it turns out she just felt horrible doing the move that she knew perfectly countered the move he did, because it feels like her child, which is another great character moment, because like it's a girl that has nothing, that just like the one simple pleasure that she has is a game that she likes, but then she has to destroy the part of the game she created against the person that's supposed to be her king, that if she pisses off has the ability to kill her whenever he wants.
Whatever he wants. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like just all the different
That
things
whole
that,
dynamic, girl, that whole dynamic with her and Marilyn were just something just to behold. Because it's like you watch him literally go from like this ruthless guy, almost like this humble king, like this humble, like benevolent king, almost like he was going into this transformation. And like Poof said it, Poof one that was pointing all that junk out, bro. Poof was like, bro, if I let this girl live, she's gonna end up taking all his like ruthlessness away.
well, also
And that's exactly what ended up happening.
she didn't she didn't take away his ruthlessness. Remember, he gave the whole speech about where he basically says like the opposite of what he learned from Komogi, which is super interesting. I didn't write the entire thing down because it's super long, but you only need a piece of it to like understand the whole thing, because it's like a bait and switch with Poof. Because like the entire thing
Yeah,
he's
I know what
describing,
you're talking about
yeah, like the entire time he's describing like maybe people
now.
shouldn't be,
Excuse me.
maybe we shouldn't be preparing to turn humans into cattle. Maybe we shouldn't be doing that. And then it's just like, or he's talking about the kid that he killed and ate the brains of, and he says that could have had the potential to surpass me in some area. So maybe I shouldn't have.
Hmm.
And then he's just like, no, that's not true. The truth is, power is the ultimate form. like physical brute power is the ultimate form of power in the world, and that's all that matters. But you see, after the bomb goes off, he learns, nope, I was fucking wrong. Just straight up. He learns that that entire perception was wrong, and that like Komogi is the entire reason he's able to learn that that's what was wrong. Like his entire conception of how it works, like the world works. His entire philosophy as a being gets changed by a mentally handicapped girl with savant syndrome. And having savant syndrome, she probably had autism. Just because almost everyone that has savant syndrome has some form of autism. So, an autistic girl with a 90 ish IQ who just so happened to be really good at the most complicated board game to ever exist because it's even more complicated than chess. And chess is like one of the most complicated things, period. Because I don't know if you've heard like the crazy stuff. If you played a game of chess in every possible way it could go, it would be it would take longer than the moment that the universe started than to get to the heat death of the universe, as I think the statistic. It's something like that. Like how many options there are in a game of chess.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I saw that statistic a while ago. Absolutely insane.
Like, like I gotta remember it because I gotta remember the yeah, it's like 10 to the 111th power, which would be it's like Google, like the number Google, like it's one with over 100 zeros behind it.
Yeah,
So
some unfathomable number.
yeah, which is crazy, and that's like not counting illegal moves. It's
It's everything that's
approximately
legal.
10 to the
Everything
111th.
tournament legal.
Yeah, and then if you don't count, like if you include illegal moves, it's around 10 to the 123rd power,
What
I
is even
think.
considered an illegal move in chess? I'd have to Google that later.
I think it's like can't castle from certain position and stuff like that. I'm not sure.
Uh,
That's what I would guess. I don't know. Excuse me. But like the game that she happens to be the ultimate master at, like so good that she invented a lot of the crazy moves that are going on now. That would be like it's like the equivalent of how good Komongi is at this game. It'd be like Magnus Carlsen inventing new openings in chess. I don't know if you keep up with the chess world at all, but
I don't.
do you know who Magnus Carlsen is?
One of the grandmasters, isn't he? One of his
Yeah,
first grandmasters.
he's not one of the first, but he's arguably the greatest chess player that's ever lived. Like arguably one of, but like these great chess players, they don't tend to create new openings. They just come up with ways to use existing opening just because the game's been around
Yeah,
for so long.
make new
But
make new uses of
yeah,
existing
yeah.
strategy, not
But
create
yeah,
an entire new
yeah,
strategy
but
viable
Kumogi,
enough in the tournament.
yeah,
Komoki,
but
yeah,
Kumogi
Komuki made an entire, yeah,
create
that was the
multiple
whole,
entire strategies like in the heat of
even
the moments also.
even creating a new strategy, even creating a new strategy in their own exchange battles.
Yeah,
So that
or
was the one she did at the end.
like Kuramoki, like not only did she create a strategy in a tournament, she created the strategy that everyone started copying, that the king noticed that it existed, was also impressive because the king came up with that idea without knowing much about the game, like a couple of days after, like not even a
That's what
couple of
made
days, like a
her,
day after learning the game.
and that's what made her hesitate. And that was one of those crowning moments too, in which I knew that the king would ended up. I felt like at that moment when he used her created strategy that he stumbled upon pretty much. He stumbled upon using this and thought it was viable in the moment that he was using it, made her hesitate and made him think he had her. But no, it was almost like you create this strategy, you just saw someone else use it. Like, see how far something has come along. And that's crazy. That's hella crazy. Even when it went so far as to take those exact same concepts and put it into fights. That's what made that Netero, him and the Meruem Netero fight just so much better. Because he started using the same concepts and trying to get behind Netero's defenses and offense.
And then the other thing she explains, like when she was at a tournament, that someone used her strategy, the Kurokamuki or whatever it's called. Starts with a K. I can't remember the name of it at the moment. I wrote it down, but I don't have that piece of paper in front of me because I couldn't find it. Because I forgot to bring my binder with me when I
You good? You good?
went somewhere and watched some of it while I was stuck somewhere. So I just had to write it on a random piece of paper and I can't find that. But she explains in the heat of a tournament, she learned the exact movement that beats that strategy of hers almost 100% of the time. But then, as when she hits her awakening, when her and the king are playing, she realizes how to counter the perfect counter for her other way to play. And not only did she figure out the perfect counter for that, but she figured out the perfect counter for that perfect counter, which is
Yeah.
crazy to think about. And it's like one of
That
those
just
things
lets you
that
know
like
just
you'll
how
never.
long. That just lets you know how long she's really sat with this game and really played with this game to where she's had a perfect counter, had the perfect counter used against her, so had to develop a perfect counter to the perfect counter.
Well, also the
It was the
implication
same
is
way.
that she came up with the perfect counter to it and the perfect counter to the perfect counter for that at the same time when she
Yeah,
awakened, because she asked if she could go to her room, because she explains that she builds the board exactly whenever she comes up with the new move or a
and
new
memorize
strategy,
it. Yep,
and then she touches the board at every point, and then she'll remember it forever, which is also something that some savants can do. It's like a memory thing, so she would probably be a memory savant. um and also like spatial and memory savant, because sometimes they can have a little bit of like multiple when it comes to a savant. But then, like you see, that all happens when she awakens and she starts using Nin inside of everything. So I wish we could have learned if she would have been a specialist, because I'm imagining she would be a specialist.
yeah.
Except I guess she could be an enhancer and it could just make her brain work faster. But
I
then there's
do
also.
enjoy how I do enjoy how they took those exact same concepts because like the way Meruem was analyzing those moves and stuff she was doing, how it had especially the way they started portraying it in anime, how it made it look like he had all these separate moves and stuff and ways to go and things to do. And it always switched it and used the different animation motifs to show how he was thinking and the way he was using the board. They used those exact same concepts in the Netero fight because I remember him bouncing around, him saying and them showing how he was basically using it. Merwin was using the fight and seeing it like the board and saying he's doing all these moves and literally if it wasn't for this, how he got him, he had to keep going in and the only thing he knew was to constantly attack and said literally he has to get everything the right way at the right moment at the right time or it's not going to work. And they flipped it and talked it from Netero's side and saying how he also was in a way because Meruem is the only person who could recover and come back fast from an attack like that he's throwing. Because at the same time, Netero's never seen someone take an attack from him and keep going like that. So it's all both sides are pretty much like in this state of constant learning and constant evolution, just like how Meruem and Komaki were, especially how many games and stuff they were playing at a time. Both of them were constantly evolving, constantly growing to where Komaki started having to put in some of this stuff to get ahead. I wouldn't say to get ahead, but I say it was natural. They probably would end up happening, if she was pushed. Because no, that's true. At the same time, she's never been truly pushed like that. Besides the moment when somebody used the strategy and stuff on that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Do what? Can you repeat the
Like
question?
Komaki, like Komaki at the same time hadn't been pushed in Gungi, like the same time Meruem hadn't been really pushed until he started playing Gungi.
Yeah, just because we like it took him 10 games to beat the national chess and Go champ. Or no, it wasn't Go. He played Shoji, or whatever the fuck it's called. So yeah, that
Say
was the
there's
first time
more
he was
plays.
ever put. Komogi was the first person to ever push him.
But she also simultaneously hadn't been pushed in Gungi up until
Well,
this, right?
we no, the
Besides the
implication
strategy.
is like the the thing is she always pushes herself when she plays.
Yeah,
Because
of
remember,
course.
like it's an entire thing. Like the entire thing, like when he realizes that he really likes her, like he likes Komogi as a character, is when
Snatching
he
his arm off
realizes
on
like,
it.
yeah, where he realizes like, oh shit, I'm a bitch. Like that
Yeah,
moment,
and that
like
was
dude,
those were bro, and bro, it was every one of those moments in which Merrim had his biggest growth. Because simple thing, he literally, oh, I'm gonna rip my arm off. Yeah, if I win, how about I take your hand? Why don't I just bet with what I usually bet with? Oh, what what's that? My life. Oh,
yeah, she was just like, oh, I was just playing under
oh,
the thing. If I lost to you, I was dying anyway. So
oh.
why would I lose my
Like
hand?
this whole time I've been playing like if I lose, I'ma die. Why I'm gonna just bet my arm? Nah, we continue like we've been doing. If I lose, I die. And that's when he realized that he had been taking these stakes way too lightly. He was looking at shit like, bro, I've been the dude that didn't want to sacrifice that much. I've been the dude that hadn't been wanting to make these stakes as like drastic as I could. I'm the bitch. And it literally goes over into him and Netero's fight, which is why I love it so much. Literally, it was you go through that whole fight, them doing that whole jump around, the whole everything, the threading the needle in a needle field moment, and having to hit the right needle at one time. You go through all of that. Literally, Netero doing zero hand on him to where it literally gentle caresses him and like basically violently freaking erupts you with it. Bro, to the point where they shot a beam at the bro, did all of that to come right and still be standing on side of it. And literally you figure out that yeah, you was a bitch because at the point in time this you was never prepared to die. And he was. And he showed you that. He was prepared to die from the point in which he told even made the goddamn declaration to you. From the point in which he even made the challenge to you. Oh, if you can make me admit defeat, and I'll tell you your name. But even at that point, admit defeat mean he was gonna die. The fact you had to take an arm and a leg from this dude, and he still wasn't done. Literally, that joint was so hard. He cut the dude's leg off. Said, "You lose your leg was inevitable." He said, "You gonna stop the bleeding? Cause you're gonna die." That nigga Netero said, "You think I need a leg that's gonna stop
Yeah,
me?"
and he
That boy hit
flexes
that.
so hard that it
He hit it.
closes the wound.
He hit it and flexed him John so hard it closed the wound and said, "Bro, keep going." Then, all right, I'm going after your left arm next. And they go do the same little motion. Next thing you know, he took his left arm. All
Yeah, I
right,
love how he
and then
goes. What was
yeah,
the wording?
he
He says, what kind of naive fool or something like that thinks I only need one hand to pray?
said prayer is an act of prayer is a wish. That's emotion in the heart.
Yeah,
But
and he does it with one hand. That dude, that fight is so good.
bruh, and then he finished it, bruh, even to come so far. Even when cause I'm looking at this, looking at you like, bruh, what else can you do? And then he talked down onto him, and I'm like, you gonna take that? Hell no, he ain't gonna take that. But said you don't know the malice in the human heart. And even to go so far, I love the build up. To go so far to say once once Netero showed him the true malice in the human heart, the narrator hit you with for the first time in Meryl's life, he's seen true fear or felt true fear. Oh, he knew. He knew. But you was never in a position to win. You was always in a position to die. As soon as you engaged in a fight with this dude, you was already in a position to die. And that's when you knew right then and there that your malice, anything that you felt that you could do better, anything that you felt that you was never gonna eclipse that feeling going into a fight knowing you was gonna die because literally his entire personality was built on being the strongest. You would never death is never crossing his head, even after death. When he told Poof said when they was talking about the stragglers that was left, with your honest opinion, Poof, do you think any one of these stragglers could best me? You still thinking the same way that almost got you killed. Well, excuse me, that did get you killed because I mean, without if Poof and Yuppie don't show up, he die.
Well,
I'm for
like
real.
it didn't matter if they showed up or not, cause they were. And he knew
The
from the
poison.
moment after he the and
Ah,
actually it's hard to know. He probably knew the moment he used his end for the first time after that that he was gonna die. That's probably when he learned he was
I've
gonna
seen the
die.
poison and stuff and all that inside of him.
Well, not just that, he could probably tell that Poof and Yuppie were dying, and if they were dying, he would know that he's dying. Yeah, he could probably feel because it's like a nin poison.
Yeah, because that's when the first person to go down was Yuppie, wasn't it? During his
Yeah,
fight with
Yuppie's the
Milk.
first one to die because he gave up more than Poof did.
Yeah,
Because
gave away more than
Yuppie
Poof
gave
did.
up so much that he turned into just like the midget.
Yeah,
But
while
Poof, all he had
Poof
so
still had an
many because
entire
he had to
segment.
pretend.
He
Yeah,
said,
right,
I
he
think
was only
Poof's
a
exact
seventh.
words.
He was a
Yeah,
seventh of
Poof's
himself.
exact words. He gave 6/7 of his body um to Meryl. 6/7 is what he gave. You think about where Yuppie was, he probably gave like
Most.
12/13 or somewhere around there.
Like
Like a
90% or
even
some shit. A lot. It's
99 out of 100.
insane.
Damn near a whole.
Like,
But
it's just like almost all of that is just awesome. Like how it works. Like
it's definitely lots. And
how
they took
she,
the concept that they go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just like how a. I'm trying to think of the best way to say it because it's sort of like the. Because I know you won't know what I'm talking about, but there's a you know the. You're probably not gonna know what I'm talking about because it's super random. There's a. You know who the Who is though, right? The band. Like you've heard of them.
No.
Like it's one of the like biggest rock bands of all times. They were like from the late 60s, early 70s. They have a song called
Yeah, I
Pinball
definitely
Wizard.
would know that.
Um and it's about a it's a song about a dude with a very similar thing to Komogi Pinball Wizard. It's by the Who. It came out in 1969, and there's a movie based off the song, and it's like the song is just like, man, that deaf, dumb, and blind kid sure plays good pinball. And there's a what's the movie called? I don't remember the name of the movie. Is it just called Tommy? That's what it's called. It's about I gotta remember exact. It's this guy. It's a like a psychedelic thing, but I remember we had to watch it for psychology class because it
Hmm.
covers a bunch of stuff. But it's a guy that due to his relationship with his parents, because I think he as a little kid he sees his dad kill his mom, if I remember correctly. But
Jeez.
he's psychosomatically deaf, mute, and blind.
This sounds familiar.
Like you might have had to watch it too, because it was like real popular for when we
No,
grew up
I
with
think it was
stuff.
one of the movies that Jenna made me watch. Just a movie she likes. Cause I think it was when he like the dude killed his mom or something, and then, like he was like you say he was blind, so he was like really good at like finding out like clues and being a detective and stuff like that. Or am I
No, no, it's
somewhere else?
not like that. What's it
I'm
called?
thinking of something else.
Yeah,
I'm
with
thinking
this
of
one though,
somewhere else.
Um, when he is like the thing that he does is he is really good at pinball, even though that he's deaf and blind. He's like insanely good at pinball, and
That's something
so
else.
in
That's
the
something else
late
entirely.
60s, early 70s, pinball was like super popular.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so a cult leader uses him
Studied that
as like
era.
a way to attract people into his cult.
Oh no, I ain't saw this movie. It's the cult part. It was the pinball and the cult part. Man,
Yeah,
but it was man, I couldn't tell you the name of it
it's called
because it was
Tommy.
one. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that, but
Yeah, it's like his
I
dad
remember some of these.
kills his mom because he was like a veteran from
Yeah,
World War II, and
yeah, some shit
he goes
around there. I
blind
was
because he
young.
watches his dad do it,
I was young as fuck. Like this shit got
and
fragments.
then
I'm seeing some like fragments, like some pinball shit. Cause I remember like being heavily like into pinball at one point and seeing like a movie with like some pinball shit and some cult shit. And I don't know if that was what sparked it, but I was young. You easily influenced when you're young on random things.
I think no,
TV,
it's
all
his
that stuff.
dad dies. His dad dies in World War II, and it's like his stepdad does something, and it
But it's
causes
like
him to go.
the same
But
kind of
that's what it
thing
reminds me of. The
with Komaki.
yeah, the Komogi thing. Um, I don't know why it reminds me of it, but it just does. 'Cause I
No,
remember
I understand.
we had to watch this shit in what's it called? But that's basically what his family does to him is they use him to make a bunch of money. 'Kay, the stepdad essentially sells him to this cult leader, and this cult leader, which is exactly what's happening in East Corto, because East Corto is supposed to be a combination of it's North Korea mixed with 1960s
Howdy.
Cuba.
Oh, Cuba. That
That's why
makes
they all
sense.
have
I can
Spanish
see it.
names.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
like Diego, Marco, all that stuff. But
Hmm.
it just reminds me of this so much, which I wouldn't be surprised because like what's it called? The people in Japan that are like the older generation, like Oda, Tagashi, like they probably watch this. Like if I had to bet money, like I'd bet so much money that Tagashi has seen this, or that
All them. All them.
movie.
I know a lot of that stuff because I start to kind of notice it with Diego and like the Marco, um, what the dude, the Vice dude name. I
Leo,
forgot it already. Yeah,
which one?
Leo.
Yeah, Leo or Hagia,
Leo's
depending on how
one.
much you like.
Agia.
Yep.
Agia's one. I was thinking about the dude who had the start with a B. I might be wrong. The dude that was getting the girls down there.
Bizef.
Bsef. Yeah, Bsef. He was another one. I don't know if that's a Spanish name, but it reminded me of one.
I don't think it's a Spanish name, but it's. I think he's supposed to be like the Eastern European style name that came and helped,
Ah,
like how like Russia influenced Cuba when it became communist,
makes it.
like that. But yeah, I like how it just takes like a bunch of different concepts from different stuff with it, like how it sets it up, which is super interesting. I just like almost everything about this arc. I think is damn near perfect. Like, and that's how you know
I
something
want
is
to see
perfect
that.
is because you don't know how you would make it better because you're not sure if it could be better.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what a lot of things. I mean, unless you're pointing out like actual like real fallacies, like plot holes and obvious stuff. I mean, I ain't arguing with none. Like, 'cause I know a lot of things that I can say. Like, even just I mean, I don't even really have more so problems with arcs. I have more so problems with like continuation now. Like my biggest anime gripe across anime in general is that I really wish Naruto would have gave us like Naruto after the last instead of going straight to Boruto. That's my
Yeah,
biggest
or
gripe in all of anime.
my biggest gripe is that we didn't get a Minato show.
Like some kind of
Because
yeah.
Minato's my favorite character, so I'm
He's,
mad that
he's
we
got
didn't get
a
my
he's got a
Minato show.
he's got a novel, a light novel. Not the same,
Yeah,
but
yeah. But like,
um,
let's be real. You're not gonna compare it to the Itachi light novel. Let's be real.
I mean, come on, man. What we talking about?
Like,
What we talking about, bro? Thought you like novels goaded
no,
amongst light
we
novels,
need a
man.
actual we need a actual what's it called? Also, a lot of times it's not the mangaka that writes the light novels. A lot of times,
Yeah,
it's
that's
an
true too.
assistant, and they just give them the idea for the light, like
Yeah,
what should be in the light novel.
like it was coming from outside source. Yeah,
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 it's not
yeah, yeah.
like all the Bleach ones. Kubo didn't write them. He like came up with the synopsis for them, but he didn't write the light novels. That's one I know off the top of my head, and I'm pretty sure Kishimoto didn't write the Itachi one. I think he just told the dude the basic concept that it's supposed to have. And I know Gege didn't write the first one for JJK. I don't know if there's a second one, but I do know there was a first one about I'm pretty sure it was about Nanami, like the
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
yeah. But back to the thing with this, the I just don't like. There's not a thing about this arc that I would change because even the parts that are slow still give you
Word.
like it's not
I'll have
even
to watch it one
they're not
time to
even
even.
slow. It's just that you go from like all the way up, like people can't see my hands, but I'm holding my one hand all the way up, and then brings you back down to normal, and then takes you back up again, and then back almost. It's like, cause it's like,
It's waves. No, I see what you mean, but it's
yeah,
like imagine a graph. Like, what would you imagine? Like a stock graph, like a good stock graph over time that's only went up and down, but over like 10 years,
but it's also
and it's
like
on an
different
upscale.
things too. Like,
It's
cause at
never
one
like
moment, it's
what
not
I'm
one
saying. What?
genre. It's like
No.
part of
It
it's like a
they
suspense movie, part of it's like a spy
Yeah, no,
thriller.
exactly. That was the thing that got me about the show in general. Like it does a good job of incorporating a lot of different aspects besides just shonen.
And
It
then
gives you the slice of life, it gives you the cook, it gives you the sport. It gave you a
like
lot of that.
the Nav breaking it, like infiltrating the castle. Like it starts like a spy thriller, and then by the end of it, it for him it turns into a horror movie. Like for that little bit
Yeah,
of time, where he just has like he gets so terrified that he almost dies. Like it makes him become emaciated. It turns his hair white.
and he
Cause
lost a lot of it.
yeah, well that's
He didn't
after he
lost all
sees
of it.
like the king, like Filth the king's, and he like loses all of his hair. But just poofs, seeing poofs in, he didn't even feel it. He just saw it, caused him to lose like everything he had.
Yeah, it
And we
was
saw
poof
he's
and
not weak. He one shots a soldier ant without even trying. Like he's not
yeah,
Nav's not weak. He's like apparently on par with Moral, like in
yeah.
combat
They both masters.
applications. So it's crazy that it just
And it's
takes that
crazy
to
too,
completely break his will.
even to go so far because you think about his student in Palm. She saw Pito's Nin and took it a step further and just hot unalived. Got to say that word instead of the other one.
Well,
Straight
for that,
unalived.
that's also different though. It's because
Yeah, it was
she
it was it was
planned on
different
it.
because she didn't want to be. Yeah, she didn't want. Also, it's for information purposes. She didn't want to
Yeah,
be
she didn't want to
tortured
give up
and
information.
bled information. Yeah, it was them same purposes, but you see you see the same kind of instant reaction because she was going that same route. At least that's the way the narrator excuse me, pushed it to my ears.
Hmm.
Um, because I
She
felt
was
like that she
terrified,
kind of
but the plan was if she couldn't do it to kill herself before she gets caught, and she would have succeeded if it wasn't Pito that she ran into. She
yep.
100% would have died. Also, that's another thing. She gets turned into an actual fucking half human, half chimera ant, which is
And it gave
crazy.
her an OP ability too.
That was her ability already.
It was. That's what I figured. I knew
Both of
you
the
was gonna
things that
clear
she
that up
so
to me. I
she
felt like it was.
yeah, so she was in, if you remember, it's total throwaway moment, which is
That's
something that I
probably
love
why.
with Togashi, is that he has like a bunch of throwaway moments that feel like throwaway moments, like they're just things happening in the background, but they're not. If you remember when they're eating or they're drinking coffee,
Her eye was always closed. Her other eye was
uh,
always covered.
not that, it's when she's drinking her coffee, she she activates her Hatsu and it makes it spill everywhere.
Yeah,
So that shows that she's an enhancer.
yeah.
But
I
then
got
that
that part.
yeah. So the fish thing statue that she has, if she bled on it, she could see stuff. Like that's how she was able to track people beforehand. So she had the hair thing, which is where she uses her enhancer ability, and they didn't explain how the fish thing works exactly. Like because it's not an enhancer thing, but it's just something she came up with, presumably because she
Her
has
name ability.
yeah. Well, no, she has two nin abilities. She has the ability to use the fish thing to see people, and then she has the ability, the hair armor. And the hair armor changes what the armor does based on her current mental state. So, like when
Right.
she does Black Widow, which is how she fought Killua,
Yeah.
she was in a manic state, so it was like the more attack focused one. But no, so she was a.
Ah,
That's how she found out about Bisky, was
yeah.
using the fish
Yeah,
thing. It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
when
yeah.
she gets turned into it, she gets the crystal ball like fused to her head. That's that thing on her forehead. And also the reason that she's like part fish is because the statue that she uses the crystal ball with is a picture. It's a statue of a fish.
Well,
Yeah,
well.
that's why she's. Cause you
That
remember
makes
that
sense.
statue and the fish that she
Yes.
has, that
Yes.
she looks
Yes.
into and she can see where they're at.
Yes. And it's the
That's
same ball. That's the
yeah,
same
that's what's
ball
in
that's
her
on her
forehead.
forehead.
Cause it's implied that
Yeah.
she brought that with her into the
Yeah.
thing. That way she could still use that ability while she's in the thing. So that's what got fused. So she doesn't need that anymore since it's part of her body now. She could look at the statue and cover one eye and then see through the crystal ball with that one eye. But now the crystal ball is part of her. And then she's got fish pieces on her like the statue. So now that's just part of her now. Like that ability is just part of her now.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's just,
cool.
and then like the entire
That
time
makes a lot of sense.
they
Adds
imply
up.
that that's her only ability, and then it's just a complete throwaway thing that when she activated her Hatsu when they're sitting in the diner, that it made her coffee overflow, which shows like that's why she got the hair thing, and the hair thing's her actual combat ability, which is really cool. And then if
Hmm.
we're gonna talk about abilities, I gotta talk about Godspeed being one of my all-time favorite powers of all time.
I know why. It makes sense now.
Yeah, dude,
He was able
Godspeed is
when I
so
seen
dope.
him I knew it was dope when he had Kimoki, a Komaki on his back, and she was in the same state like him, and then he took her off and set her down. And as soon as he took his hands off her, it went away. I was like, oh, so you mean to tell me you can give that shit to other people like God's accomplice too? Oh boy,
Well,
oh
I
boy,
don't
and the fact
know
that he
if it
was
so
able to,
much means that he can give it to other people. He's able to use electricity to stimulate other people's nerves.
bro,
That's
I
how
imagine.
Godspeed
I
works.
immediately, I immediately went to imagining him and going like running together like just like going through like ants or something, like just going crazy, like immediately when I saw that. And I got like super hyped, like out of nowhere. I loved how he uses Godspeed in a lot of his applications. Dude, and when they went and showed how he created it using the two moments right before he used it in the fish
Hmm.
the area aura, how he said he just waited till the fish got there and then stimulated the nerves in his hand to catch it. bruh.
Yeah. The
That
other
man
big thing
OP, bro.
is the entire idea behind it is to counteract his biggest weakness.
Yeah,
I don't know if you picked up on because he can't use in well. He can
right,
only do it a
right.
couple of centimeters off his skin. So he
Yep,
was just like, since I can't use in to detect stuff, I could just pre-program all my nerves
yep,
like a video game. And so
yep.
he doesn't have to think about
He'll pre.
doing anything now. It
Mm-mm.
just his
Yeah, he said he
body,
pre-programs all his
yeah,
nerves to just react.
yeah, to just
Long as
react
something
since
enters
his
that,
reflexes are
long
so
as
good.
something enters that aura, he just programmed all his nerves to react in like a millisecond.
But also like the big thing is also it doesn't tell you here, but there is a side effect to his ability to Godspeed because the human body's not supposed to move that fast. So he
Uh-huh.
can't. He has to use his. That's like why he has to quit against UP, cause it hurts your muscles. It's sort of like you remember with the two episodes where the Phantom Troop shows up and we get to see what they can actually do. Like you learn like what happened in York New City was literally nothing. Like they weren't
Yeah,
even trying in York New City. Well, they weren't even trying except for when the chain user stuff. But like when they were fighting like the dog, like the shadow beasts and stuff, like
everything
they were
else.
barely trying.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
see that they're actually so much stronger than that. It's like the I can't remember the dude, but the dude with the baby face with the really buff body with the cell phone, like how
yeah,
he when his ultimate attack is that he manipulates his body and it gives him full
yeah,
access to more than his normal amount of nin. It's
yep,
like that, like how he gets like super fucked up after he uses it. It's just
yep.
since Killua was tortured his entire life, he doesn't feel it. It does something similar to that to go Godspeed to him. Like it makes him.
Okay.
It's just Killua was so tough, he can't actually feel it because he got tortured so much growing up. Like he was made to where he feels almost no pain, except for like extreme pain. So that's why it's sort of like the original downside of going Super Saiyan. Like before Goku completely mastered it, where it hurt to do it.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense
Or
actually.
like with like a
I was
person,
even
like where you have
going.
adrenaline, you don't really feel getting punched in the face that much, but then when it wears off, you feel it for a little while. It's like that. That's what it does to his muscles. But I like the cool thing about Godspeed, in my opinion, is one of the best speedster moments. Like you see like how different it is because he's much faster than the speed of sound, and it's not just that he like acts at the speed of sound when he's using Godspeed. He can fight at the speed of sound. Like we see like Yuppie, like Yuppie can't even perceive what's happening, and Yuppie's faster than the speed of sound.
Yeah,
Like
that
you
was a
see it
dope moment.
like
That was a
Yuppie's
hella
just
dope
getting
moment.
the like if it could have lasted just a few more minutes because the entire thing where he's hitting him APR only dings like once. So that entire thing takes place over like 10 seconds when he's using Godspeed. Cause that's another thing that I love about he spent like 2 episodes at the beginning of the arc explaining how APR works. And the entire reason he explained how APR works was just so we would know how long the fight with Yuppie took.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I can
Like that
100%
shit's
see that.
so fucking genius in my opinion. Like that's so fucking big brain. Like he did all this stuff
There
just
was
to
a
be
lot
able
of
to
things.
say,
It was
"This is how."
a lot of things in which you seen that he used certain things in order to incorporate certain things. APR was a big one. APR once he told us that it takes 10 seconds, every 10 seconds that thing dings. Once we knew that, anything that happened in between that was a feat. Cause even with the same thing, APR was used to talk about how Yuppie and Shoot were fighting, to perceive that in the beginning, right before Kilo and stuff got crazy.
Yeah,
And
it
bruh,
explains
like a
like the
lot of
entire thing took 20 seconds,
then
like the entire shoot fight.
you see how one thing I enjoyed what was incorporated was how he incorporated situations in order to tell us other things, like how Ikago came out and said that they only had been down there doing all that for 30 minutes. The entire thing he was doing took 30 minutes. and they come up. He was down there in the bunker before that fight ever took off. And the 30 minutes he was down there to come up for air, the whole palace was destroyed.
Well, remember he
The
didn't come up for air. He defeated Wolfen,
I
so
know,
and
I
he
know,
found like,
I
but
know,
yeah,
I know. I'm using a derogatory term. It's yeah, yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah,
But then you got the same at the exact same time, you got the whole thing with the king, the fight, him and Netero's fight, which you look at their whole things was adding up in speed, and those was down to some of the last moments. And the same 30 minutes that Ikalgo was coming out of and came up into after he got done with the whole ordeal down there, you see that that's the same time it took Yuppie and Poof to get over there to the king and for him to like pretty much get back, you know what I'm saying? And that whole fight to take place because all that stuff kind of happened at the same time. Correct me if I'm wrong or help me shaping this up because
for the
I
most
find
part,
that shit
yeah.
kind of crazy. Like also simultaneously, they didn't say well they might have did, but the Gon and Pito, both of them going to Kite, that also took place at the
Yeah,
same
it just
kind of
didn't take him that
interval.
long to get back.
Yeah, it just didn't take them that long. Yeah, because it wasn't as far. And like it's just so much happening at once, but it worked so seamlessly to where like all of it kind of made sense. Well, not kind of, it did make sense. All of it made sense to see how all of it ended up until the point that it did. But Gone in that whole situation when we was talking about powers, to see him just go because like they explained, I know Killua came and gave that explanation on it when he pulled up that he compared it to Bisky, but Bisky was just when
It's
she
like the
dove
opposite of
inside, she was
Bisky.
on yeah, it was the opposite because she dove inside, she kept her same aura, but Gon did the opposite. It's like he doubled the size, but he, pretty much 10 times his aura. And then did they ever say the cost? Like, they ever tell us what the exact cost was that he did? Because I know they said it, they alluded to him probably never being able to use Nin again, but Gon
So
himself never said it.
it's hard to explain, but I'll try to explain it. He he sacrificed everything he could be for an amount of time as that, if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
he sacrificed his future potential to get to use that future potential for a short amount of time.
that makes sense.
So a better way to say it would probably be he sacrificed his ability, like they said, like he sacrificed his ability to use Nin,
Uh-huh.
but that like I don't want to, cause that's what the next couple episodes are about. It's about the fallout of everything that happened. So I don't want to spoil what
Yeah, so they're gonna
happens.
tell me. Yeah, they're gonna tell me.
But I will just say that Pito and Killua don't fully understand what Gon did. Cause but Gon does, if that makes sense. Because Gon didn't care what it cost to get revenge for Kite. Because Gon thinks it's his fault that what happened to Kite happened. Because if Gon would have been more vigilant, he would have, what's it called? He would have not needed to be protected, and Kite's arm wouldn't have got cut off. And then he thinks Pito wouldn't have won if Kite's arm didn't get cut off. But also, like the interesting implication is that Miriam would have taken over if it wasn't for if Gon would have been ready to meet his dad in the way that his dad wanted him to. Like if he would have went by himself to meet his dad, he would have ended up like the world would have been so much worse off.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Which is
definitely
crazy
true.
when you think about it. Like the fact that he took Killua with him is because Killua and Gon were part of the reason that he figured out what was wrong in the first place. Like Kite figured out what was wrong in the first place, because Kilo and Gon kept asking questions that the other people already knew the answer to, and it made Kite realize like what was probably happening. And then he was the only one that dealt with Pito, and like they wouldn't have had enough people to deal with Pito. Because if you remember, they said they can't bring extra hunters in unless they're at least as strong as Knuckle and Shoot, because anybody that dies would just make the Chimera Ants stronger, under the assumption that the Chimera Ants, like the Queen, could just eat those hunters, and then those hunters would be reborn as Chimera Ants, or Chimera Ants would be reborn with their Nin. So it would just make the Chimera Ants stronger, and then we learn that that's kind of Miriam's ability anyway. He gets the Nin of anybody that he eats, which is why he can use Poof's and UP's abilities. So
Yep,
it's hard to explain the transformation without spoiling it. Like I can explain what happened, but it's better if the show explains
I'm saying
it.
that makes perfect sense. It makes
But it's
perfect
still
sense.
crazy. Still crazy.
It makes perfect sense.
And then
Both of
also,
those moments, those go
huh?
ahead.
Both of those moments.
Yeah,
What?
like the between Gone and his grown up moment and Killua and his Godspeed moments and all that kind of showed us like what both of those guys can be capable of and everything that they've been training for. But like in the same time, like the two moments that always is going like echo in this arc is the one when Gon told Killua about what it not being his fight and everything before he first left, which shattered Killua and um Gon in finding out that Kite was actually dead and accepting that. Those both of those moments gonna always echo because it was the moment in which both of them was faced with their deepest despair and they had to come on top of it because like Kilo was faced with the fact that he couldn't had to face the fact that he couldn't help Gon anymore. Gon pretty much had it grown up past the point of like him needing help. Is my interpretation of it right now. And Gon, bruh, Gon having to deal with the idea that he got or deal face the fact or face the idea. I ain't gonna say it was a fact, but face the idea that he got Kite killed and actually face that instead of suppressing it and the idea of atoning for it and getting Kite like getting Kite like healed. But that those two moments, the Gomes moment was actually intense. Like I ain't even gonna lie to you, that's it was something different.
The
Like
entire thing itself is just insane. Like everything that happens. Honestly.
I
Oh
found
god.
myself speechless too many moments. That's also a big thing.
And then we also, I totally forgot to talk about the right after his speech where he's just like, right after Merowyn's speech where he's just like, brute force is the ultimate power in the world. I can just kill her whenever I want to. So like her life belongs to
Why
me.
don't I?
I'm just doing this to waste time until this election. And then he opens the door and sees the bird attacking her, and he kills the like he hits the bird so hard that it
Immediately,
turns to paste because he's
yep,
so pissed. And then he has the whole conversation with her. It's just like, why didn't you call out for help? And she's just like, I didn't want to bother anyone because
it's late. She don't want to
yeah, because
wake
she
anyone up
has I
that's
think
going to
it's
sleep.
12 siblings, and so she was the most useless out of all of them until she became champion. So she was blind and couldn't work in the field. So she's
Hmm.
not supposed to bother anyone. But then you see Meryl's whole thing. He's like, I thought I was gonna kill her. She's like, you weren't bothering anyone. You're an important guest. But in his head, he's just like, I thought, I thought I was gonna kill her. Why can't I kill her? And then she breaks down crying because she's
Hmm.
never had someone treat her that well. And you're just like, what the
But it was
fuck?
all, bro. All that stuff was like poetry, bro.
And it
It
also
had to
st-
be
like
someone like her.
the other thing that's cool is that like the how the entire like art like they start off making you think that the philosophical implications of this story are going to be the the fact that they start off talking about the Chimerian arc that is going to be a giant version of the trolley problem. You know the what I mean by the trolley problem?
What's the trolley problem? Oh shit.
The 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 what's it called? Like there's a like train coming and then there's one person on the track tied to the track on one side and four tied to the other. What's the morally correct choice to pull the lever to make it go? Because it's going to the four people, and so they're gonna die. But if you pull the lever, you because like if you pull the lever, it makes it go after the one person, but you're actively killing that one person to save the other four person, and so there's not a perfect answer to which one is the morally right one, because you wouldn't be killing the four people if you don't pull the lever, but if you pull the lever, you kill the one person, sort of thing. Like, yeah, let me give you a
Circumstance,
better.
circumstance versus like actual changing of
The
circumstance.
trial,
So circumstantially, already the four people are already tied and have the train coming their way. To pull the lever, you
or it's
are
five
now
people.
saying, or five people, you pull the lever, you are actively pulling, killing the other person. You're essentially pulling the trigger on the other person to save four other people. You are
Well, it's
doing that.
also like it's more than just that. It's also, are you morally, is it morally correct
Yeah,
to sacrifice one person to save the trolley problem tradition? It's
it goes
five people,
deeper.
my bad. It's just
It
the
goes
meme
deeper.
only has four people on it. But yeah, it's like, is it okay to sacrifice one person to save five others? Like, sort
That's
of
the
thing.
biggest
It's like
thing.
one of those things. But that's kind of how the early part of Chimera Antark is set up, right? Because
Majority
it's
versus the one.
literally with the but like when Shoot is explaining to Knuckle why they can't just do whatever Knuckle wants, where Knuckle's just like, how we should just go to save these 5,000 people, and then or the 50,000 people, and then Shoot's just like, yeah, I know it sucks, but if we go now, we doom 5 billion other people. Like if they do what Knuckle wants to do.
Yeah,
So they
the
just set it up
macro.
as
Yeah,
a yeah. They set it up like Togashi starts the thing as it's just a giant trolley problem, and unfortunately,
and I see
they
what you're
might have
saying
to
too. I
sacrifice
definitely see what you're
Isgorto
saying.
to save the rest of the world. Even though Shoot doesn't want to do it, that might be what they're forced to do, and Shoot's willing to make that sacrifice just because he can't bring himself. And it plays with the moral implications of that decision because it implies that's the decision. But then you learn that's not actually the question that's being asked here by the story. The question that's actually being asked here is, why is social Darwinism so bad? And social Darwinism is it's a the theory that individual groups and peoples are subject to the same Darwinian laws of natural selection as plants and animal. It's largely discredited, but it's like gives rise to like it was used in the past to justify extreme conservatism, imperialism, and racism. Um, like like a good example is like what's it called? Let me give you a good example that's not just me coming up with one that's not going to be as good as a good example of social Darwinism would be the Nazis' eugenics programs. It's like basically like forcing the other like Basically, how Miriam wants to turn humans since they're not as up to par as he is. Basically, just turn them into a food source. Does that make sense? Or like another good example is stupid computer. Yeah.
Another concept
Um.
the concept you was talking about, because I know the same thing's kind of portrayed in Gyro's backstory, especially with his
Well,
dad.
that's like a little different because what's it called? Gyro wants to just destroy the world.
No, I'm talking about like when
Miriam
he
wants
was a
to rule
kid.
it.
No, I'm talking about when he was a kid, what happened to him with his dad, and how one of his biggest thing was tell him why he put him through all that stuff. He didn't want him to cause trouble for nobody else.
Kind of, yeah. But
Yeah.
a good example of like social Darwinism taken to the like to an extreme, like not necessarily an extreme because the Nazis' eugenic program is probably more of an extreme, but like a philosophical thing to that comes from social Darwinism is might makes right is a part of social Darwinism. You know what might makes right is?
Mm-mm.
It's where if you have the power to if you have greater power than someone else, it makes you correct. Like
Oh.
like if you have the power to subjugate someone that is weaker than you, then you're morally allowed to do it because the other person wasn't strong enough to stop you. Like the definition of might makes right is that power and strength can dictate what's considered just, right, or moral just because a party is stronger than the other party. And that's basically what it boils down to at the end is Miriam starts off like he gets you in the door with the trolley problem and it's just like look it's a giant trolley problem and then halfway through it he just like gotcha it's actually Miriam has to learn that might makes right is actually terrible because you lose something if you take that if you believe in might makes right you lose something is what he learns because like his entire speech to Yuppie Pito and Poof where he's just like I'm the strongest power in the world like but Kumogi like shows him like that's not an actual good way to look at the world because you'll lose so much and that's one of the things about the Chimera Ant arc that I think is so good how he like hits you like he tricks you into thinking it's going to be one philosophical question that's being pondered and then completely changes it to a different one, but they're still connected because Miriam's presenting a giant trolley problem to the people because Miriam thinks might makes right, but over time he slowly learns that it doesn't. And that's why he goes from might makes right the moment right before he goes to kill Komogi. He opens the door and sees her in pain being attacked by the bird. Not sure what kind of bird it is, but it's big as fuck. And Komogi can't do anything, and he's just like, wow, she's so fragile. And he realizes at that moment that just because you're the most powerful doesn't mean that you get to decide, should get to decide implicitly what gets destroyed and what's worth keeping. And you see, like, as time goes on, he realizes, like, he goes from we just need to keep people around as soldiers to when he's right before the Mirum or right before Mirum fights Netero, he's like, you'll need us like you'll stay alive because you're clearly one of the great people. You know that like when he it's
When
just
he
like
tells Netero
Netero, you
about his
clearly
selection
yeah
process.
yeah like originally it was just to help him take over the world. Now it's just now it's turned to where there's truly exceptional individual humans, they need to be saved
Hmm.
too, thanks to his interactions with Komogi. And then when he dies and comes back, after he realizes everything, once he's able to use his in again, when he combines it with spiritual message, it goes from might makes right to maybe all that matters is that maybe all that matters is that you find something to, like, for lack of a better term, because if it truly mattered, like the his whole thing of might makes right position that he takes at the start, it's truly what matters. He would have proved it by doing in his spending his last moments as soon as he finds out he's going to die in a couple hours. He would have done it implementing his ideal, right? But instead, he learns that the true ideal is to just spend the last moments of his life with the only person he actually loves, which completely shows like his entire idea of what he thought was correct couldn't be more wrong. Like he went from might makes right, I'm gonna turn this world into something where everyone's equal, all this stuff, which is still, he explains that the entire reason he's going to do that is because he feels he has the right to do it because he's the strongest. And it turns into everyone has some amount of value implicit in who they are, or has the potential to have that ability implicitly with who they are. So saying just because I can't judge that value based on cursory examination, I no longer have the right to do that. So I'm just going to go live out the last bit of my time with the first person that's ever actually challenged me in a meaningful way and showed me the correct way to look at life. And that's like Tagashi just throws such a philosophical curveball there. And that's one of the reasons like I love the Chimerian arc so much, among others, but just that curveball. And then he proves he has Gon take the complete opposite side of it. With like we see like Gon learns the wrong lesson from that, like the entire time, where Killua was learning the right lesson like the entire story, and then Miriam learns the lesson. Gon learns the total wrong lesson, and he learns almost the opposite whenever he decides to sacrifice everything to be able to kill Pito. He learns almost the exact opposite lesson. It's not quite the opposite lesson, but he no longer cares about the individual value. He just wants revenge, and he just wants the power to live out that revenge. And so Meruem, he doesn't necessarily become a good guy, but by the end of the story or the end of the arc, because it's not the end of the story, by the end of the arc, he's no longer a bad guy. And by the end of the arc, we can't confidently say Gon is still a good guy. Like if you've watched it, you can confidently like I can confidently say, yeah, he's still a good guy because I've watched the whole show. But at that moment, like he's willing to throw away everything. Like he literally throws away his childhood innocence in a way.
Yeah, yeah,
He
you're right.
basically makes a deal with the devil to be. He basically sells his soul for the ability to have the power to get revenge. Like if you want to look at it in thematic ways, because it even shows like how he first is shown. He looks like a demon, like where he's like whited out and it like has like
Yep.
a glitch effect over him, over his body where it like flashes black and white to show like how the transformation like affects his body, and then when his eyes open and they're soulless, like even when he's like we can actually see his eyes again, they have like the same effect on him, like the little lines that Komogi's eyes have. It's not the exact same, but it's similar to like show like he's just looking through Pito, like he's
Hmm.
just there to kill her or kill him. Like that's like he sold his soul to kill the object of his hatred. And that's what it is. And that just how that all comes together. It's just that's why I think Chimera is one of, if not the best arcs in anime. Like it's just so good. And then all the philosophical aspects of it too. It's just it makes you think. He doesn't, and also at no point in time does Tagashi tell you which one's correct.
No,
Like
yeah,
what side of that
yeah, that's true.
discussion he thinks is correct. At no point in time. He just had he just went, here's two ideas. Excuse me. We're gonna see who's right at the end. Seeing how it goes from there, which is
Yeah, we'll
just
end up seeing I think we'll have see more of it when they get through the fallout of it all. Like when they talk about the fallout of everything in the next few episodes.
I don't want to answer because I'm afraid I'll accidentally spoil something.
I appreciate you.
Like that's the only reason because like it's crazy. Just know the craziness has not stopped. I'll put it that way.
That excites me.
But I'm not going to tell you what kind of craziness. But yeah, it's. And then next week we only got 12 episodes because we're going to do the entirety of the what's it called? We're going to do the entirety of the election. The election's only 12 episodes. And hopefully that they animate the stuff after election soon. Hoping. Hoping. Because they could easily make two other arcs with the amount of chapters are done. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
you
sure
right.
they could easily
I believe you.
make two, not Chimera Ant size arcs, but like Heaven Arena arc maybe, or maybe one Chimera Ant size arc because I think they're 200 chapters past where it ends, or close to 200. Let me, because he just started back like in November. Let me check. Chapter is it 410? Yeah, 410. I think is the last one, and this goes up to almost Chimera ends at like 300. So there's like 100 and something chapters that are out past where we are. So yeah, they could do a. It just took forever to get to that point because of what's it called? Because he keeps getting sick, so he's not as far as he wanted to be. Also,
Understandable.
the last scene. Did you Because you said like the place that you watched it on, like which did you see the last? Did it show the last moment of the episode of episode
Hmm.
135?
It made sure to show that the one that was going through the credits and all that with Diego and all that.
No,
And
Miriam's
hold
death.
up, hold up. You know what? I'm just gonna put it up on my phone. Probably easier. I know he died with him and
It's like
Chroma
a
Key, didn't it?
yeah, but you know how it's like Palm says like this is it, and then you get to see him playing a couple of games.
Yeah,
There's that's not the end of it. That's there's a scene after that that happens after the credits, after the Diego thing, where we see that that was like a body double that they killed or
yeah.
whatever.
I got
Yeah,
that
there's
part.
one more scene, after that, after the credits.
Hold up. Put it on right now.
I don't know, just because I remembered you said something about the website that you watched it on, not showing some of the stuff close to the end of stuff. Because the last scene's
And
sad as
then when she
fuck,
said
dog.
she'll be joining them, yeah, the part where she said she'll be joining them and told them good night.
The where they die in each other's arms.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
well, he was
shit's sad as
asking,
fuck, dog.
he kept asking for her and everything.
Yeah, she was there because
Yeah,
they
dude,
he went
nah,
blind too.
I was,
Yeah,
yeah, I was fucking, yeah, nah, I was like, that's why I was silent for a minute. I had just watched this right before we aired. I had literally just watched this, and I was like sitting there kind of in disbelief for a second. So I'm like, God damn, dog. Like that shit was pretty sad. Like, and you got me over here re-looking at it and shit, man. Fuck you.
yeah, dude. Like it's crazy how much he made you feel for somebody that's a bad guy.
Dude, bro, like man, it was a lot of, bro. It was a couple moments in that whole ordeal that I was looking at, like Merrim to kill Coma Kid, and he didn't, and I was like trying to pick my jaw up off the floor.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy that he like you think the entire time he's gonna kill her, but nah,
Yeah,
he realizes like how important his human side is, thanks to Komogi.
yep.
Because that's what it is. Like it's like Netero says, like he's fighting between his ant and human side, but he doesn't understand that those aren't compatible.
Yeah, yeah. I completely understand that part. Completely.
And so they
I
have the
enjoyed it. I
thing.
enjoyed that go through. I enjoyed that run around, especially Merrim's up there. He's cool as fuck. Um, yeah, freaking Netero, man. That's all I'm gonna say. That man surprised me. That man surprised the hell out of me in every interval. I wish he didn't die though. But hey, Merrim's that guy.
Yeah. Well, that's another aspect though. Is like he knew he was gonna die as soon as that happened.
I could definitely see that.
Like Netero knew he was gonna die. Like he came so prepared to die. Like off jump, he was just like, "I'm gonna die. I'm prepared to die. I'm fine with it." And then get the stuff with Diego surviving. It's crazy. And we see like at different points where some of the Chimerians that reformed and some of them didn't reform died that are out in the world. And then there's the set you don't really get to see it in the anime, but in the manga, the you know that silent ant that's following the Nin Exorcist ant?
Yeah,
That's
that's in the
Reina.
next episode. That's who?
Reina,
Raina is.
the little girl.
I'm having trouble.
Don't worry about it.
Just gonna tell me.
Just
Okay.
no. I'm not gonna tell you. Just or it's not that it's not in the show. It's just that it's I don't remember much of election at the moment besides like the end of it, the election arc.
I know
But yeah,
they got her they got the silent in the next episode.
yeah. Just because Chimerant is always like the one where it's just like hell yeah, brother. Also like another characterization with Komogi. Um, whenever that happens with what's it called? When he's just like you can have anything you could ever want, and he just immediately says, or Komogi immediately says, I want to play another game. Like that's all she ever wants is to
Yeah,
play another game. Like damn, like that shit.
that shit was intense.
Yeah, the I just fucking love this arc. It's like I told you, like it's this and Saiyan Saga, or not Saiyan Saga, Nama Saga. Yeah, Namek Saga are my two favorite arcs in anime, and Namek Saga isn't because it's like that great. It's just because of the nostalgia from it, because it was like the first big what's it called, that I like the first arc that I ever like was like, oh my god, this is awesome. You know what I mean? Being a little kid
Yeah,
watching it.
I don't know. I gotta go with because what I mean right now because I watched a lot, I consume a lot. I'm just gonna go because I mean my nostalgia is what got me liking anime. I can't really use that as like a as like one of my ones now. As I always like to, I would hope something would increase it and be better than what I would originally think. Just like songs, like you ask someone what their favorite song was, a couple years ago is different than what it is now. And I think I look at arcs the same way. And right now, if I had to pick any that I've seen, with just in the last years that I just enjoy so much, and Shibuya for JJK, just because it's just so fucking much that happens. And probably I'm gonna say Egghead for One Piece. This is completed and everything. I just love action packed stuff, and like I love to have like things happen to like make me like gut wrench a little bit. And Shibuya is like that. Like, bruh, so much happened in Shibuya. Like, just so much that just make you just love it. And with Egghead, it's like everything came to a head. No pun intended. No Diddy. Um, freaking with the Joy Boy stuff we got. All the elders finally coming out to play. The Kuma backstory with the God Valley incident. Garp finally showing his head, Shanks finally showing his hand. Like it's just so much that happens, and that's what I like. And that's what happened here too with Chimera Ant. Like so much happening. Like that stretch from between um right before the attack, like when they were preparing for it, right before Nove went and felt the Nin and everything, from that stretch all the way up until through literally Miram and Komoki, like this episode here, where they're like going down, like was some of the most intense swaying freaking up and downs all arounds that a man ever got. Again, no Diddy. Please don't clip me and put some Diddy stuff next to me, please. Don't do it. But nah, like all this stuff's been great, and I'm excited to read this manga. Like for real, I'm so excited. I told you, as soon as we finish, probably the episode today that we finish with Hunter x Hunter, I'm probably gonna read the manga probably following that
I need
episode.
to
So
catch up on the manga. I'm one of those weirdos that I like how I started it to be how I finish it with stuff, just 'cause that's the way that I fell in love with the thing. That's how I want to go through it. But
okay.
it's kind of hard to do that with Hunter x Hunter, 'cause we don't know if we're ever gonna get the entire thing.
I have no problem being a manga reader. I gotta catch up on a couple mangas right now.
Like there's a couple mangas where I just can't help it. I have to do it. But that's also like I knew that they were coming to an end is why I was willing to do it. But it's just hard with this one because we have absolutely no clue when the fuck it's gonna end.
I feel you. Makes sense. I feel you, big dog.
Yeah, but I think that's everything I wanted to cover today.
And we went everywhere. I think this was a very extensive one. Definitely enjoyed it. Definitely. I definitely see why you like Chimera Ant so much. I would never down talk it again in the front of nobody. I
You were
definitely
down
understand
talking
it.
it
It just
before.
no, no. I wasn't giving it its praise, which is to me the equivalent of down talking it.
Personally, I don't feel like if you that not giving it its praise is the same as down talking, cause not giving something praise in my head isn't inherently down talking it.
It's not. I give credit where credit is due,
Yeah,
and try
as
to
long
at
as
least when
like
it's
you
due.
give flowers.
Especially when you have an art that was is considered to be one of the greatest. I feel like almost a crime to have not seen it. Almost. That's
But
just
now
me.
you
This is
understand the
just.
hype.
Oh, I definitely understand the hype, and it's very much so warranted.
Yeah, that's
Very
crazy.
much so
Like,
warranted.
and then like there's the argument that it's because like the it's technically not over
Technically,
because most arcs end when the what's it called stuff's done.
the
Like the aftermath stuff
recap.
happens.
Yeah, yeah,
So technically there's like one or two more episodes, but
you be straight.
if you want to use that definition.
You be straight.
But yeah. But I think that's it for this week, guys. Thanks for everyone that stopped by. Appreciate you for
Appreciate
stopping by.
y'all. Yeah,
Um,
appreciate y'all so much. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. Hit the comments. Let us know. Let us know what y'all think. Let us know what y'all favorite parts of this. How y'all feel about the Chimera arc, all that. Always appreciate y'all's dialogue and input on these episodes.
and then we'll see y'all next week when we cover the what's it
The
called
election,
election arc starting next week. But thanks everybody for stopping by. We appreciate y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. Am I
all that.
forgetting any of that stuff? Other stuff like
Discord in the description, all that.
oh yeah, Discord. And thank y'all. Uh, hope you have a good week. And it's corrupted
And a dragon.
signing off.